though. Everyone can get in the playoffs.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday Night Huddle, Week 9 of high school football all across Ohio State. I'm Dave Bacon, along with Dan Lobby from cleveland.com, Nate Klein from cleveland.com. Guys, the playoff picture starting to take shape. Some big games that will affect the playoff picture as we move forward.
Yeah, this is always an exciting. Like the playoff games kind of start now. Some teams have clinched. Some other teams fighting for spots. Teams fighting for home field in that first round. There's a lot on the line this week. And on top of all that, conference championships on the line still for a lot of teams.
Yeah, and I can't wait to get into at some point. We're going to start talking about some of these matchups where who's going to determine who's going to be able to clinch a conference or a league title this year. There's going to be some newcomers that are going to be facing those. And then also some of these playoff situations. Some teams are right now on the bubble. They haven't been mathematically eliminated yet. So right now they're going to be kind of some big cheerleaders out there of teams that want to get in. So
let's take a look at the games that we are keeping an eye on and tracking here in Week 9. And you look at it, and one of the big ones, Canton, McKinley, and Massillon Perry. Perry on that bubble in Division I, Region 1. Basically, it looks like it's going to come down to Perry or Solon to get the final spot in the playoffs in Division I, Region 1. Amherst and Avon, Eagles just keep flying high. Interesting one out in Menor as Euclid takes on Menor. Hoban and NDCL, a North Coast League battle. Another interesting one, Lorraine and Bedford. Lorraine, Division I, Region 2 really needs that one. Bedford, Division 2, Region 5. Pretty secure with both those teams 7-1 on the year. Olmsted Falls taking on Avon Lake. Falls coming off that big win over Midview last week. Bay and Revere, another one that we are keeping an eye on. Hudson and Twinsburg, another important game. Hudson trying to lock up a playoff spot. You look over Parma and Rocky River, and then small schools that are very, very good, and it's developed into quite a rivalry. Kirtland and Cuyahoga Heights. Kirtland in Division 6 this year. Cuyahoga Heights in Division 7. So this is the lone time the Hornets and Cuyahoga Heights will get battling. Dan, as you look at this, which one kind of grabs your attention? What one are you really focusing in on here?
I'm looking at Euclid Menor. Division I, Region 1. Menor has, at least according to Joe Itzel, clinched a playoff spot. Euclid controls their own destiny. Menor still playing for that home game in round 1 and playing for seeding as well. Euclid has a new quarterback. Aubrey Shabazz is playing quarterback, transferred in this year, and can handle the position very well. Ronald Lee, really the guy to watch there. How's he going to attack that Menor defense? And then for Menor, Todd Arunas, their quarterback, coming off a game where he threw 4 interceptions, but they were able to win the game. We know what that offense can do. It's going to be interesting. A lot of points in that football game, and Menor's run defense is going to be tested.
Absolutely. And in this game in particular, I'm actually looking at Euclid in this game because they gave up a lot of points last week to a Brunswick Blue Devils team. So I'm really curious to see how they're going to come out in this game. And Menor's coming off a very dramatic game. We saw it here last week in Week 8. So this game is really interesting. And then also just for that conference title, I mean, who's going to really have it up for grabs? I have an idea who I think might, but I think it's just going to come down to trying to limit the mental mistakes here.
That was a basketball score last week.
Yeah, they scored 70.
78-54. I mean, that's how those two teams would play a basketball game.
They gave up a lot, but they scored a lot. They scored more, 78 points, putting it on it. The game that really intrigues me is Kirtland and Cuyahoga Heights. Has developed into a really good small school rivalry, and when you look at it, a lot of respect, mutual respect. Cuyahoga Heights, we heard the players after they beat Kirtland last year during the regular season. They were praising the type of coach Tiger Laverty is and the program for Kirtland. You heard the Kirtland players praising the program for Cuyahoga Heights, and there is a live look in Kirtland running the football, and a nice job. They're down in the red zone already as 2nd down and 5, and a good look at the Kirtland Hornets getting up to the line of scrimmage and trying to get it. Oh, nice running room there, and Dawson Cosgrove gets a couple-yard gain there. So the Kirtland Hornets doing what they do. They don't run a lot of different plays. They keep it pretty simple, and they run it really well. Dylan Fulco is their quarterback, and he gives it to the fullback, and then he gets inside the 5-yard line. So Kirtland doing what you want to do to get this game rolling, taking the ball, moving it downfield, and they're at the 5-yard line. 2nd and goal from just outside the 5-yard line. Dylan Fulco is the quarterback. Joey Torek. That's Torek, and he gets into the end zone. So Kirtland, who got beat twice a year ago by Cuyahoga Heights, take it right down the field, stick it right in the end zone, 6-0 point after coming. Again, these two teams, different divisions. So Kirtland Division 6, Cuyahoga Heights in Division 7. Great start for the Hornets, though.
Yeah, this is Kirtland's one shot for revenge. I mean, I'm sure they've been thinking about this game ever since last season. All that respect and stuff aside, they want to get revenge for what happened last season. And I'm curious to see, Cuyahoga Heights is they'll run the ball, they'll pound the ball, but they can throw it around a little bit. They've got Dylan Drummond on the outside. He's headed to Eastern Michigan. They've got a good football team that can attack through the air, and I'm curious to see what they look like offensively against Kirtland.
Nate, what game are you focusing on?
The game I'm looking at is in the Lake Erie League, Lorraine and Bedford. We're going to probably get a look at that, but the reason why I'm looking at this is because Lorraine won the Lake Erie title last year. Bedford, at the late end of the stretch, were making a lot of mistakes, dropping the ball a lot. They were just making some uncharacteristic things for the Bearcats offense. So the position that they're in right now, they're both 3-0, 7-1. So I mean, this is going to be this should be a very good game. Should be a very tight, close game, and you're going to see a lot of athletes flying around the field. But I'm really curious about this game. Matter of fact, so
let's take a look at the Lorraine Titans and Bedford Bearcats as they're underway, and
still no score in this game.
And it is Lorraine with the football. 15-yard line just outside the 15, so Lorraine in the red zone trying to, they actually turned it over. It goes over to Bedford. So Bedford held Lorraine on a 4th down play, and now Emmanuel Jenkins will take over as the quarterback.
Gave it back.
And they gave it right back. And Nate, we were talking about this before. Bedford turned the ball over, I believe it was 5 times last year against Lorraine, and Lorraine comes up with the fumble recovery. And there's a good look at the guy who grabbed it, number 8 for the Titans, grabbing the recovery was Malik McCall.
No,
so McCall with the
yeah,
recovery.
no, I mean you're absolutely right. I mean just looking at Bedford's history last year and just mental mistakes and them dropping the ball, that's what really killed them. And they could have been, they could have been they could have been in a better situation for the playoffs, had they avoided those mental mistakes. Now to see Lorraine and Bedford both turning the ball over early in the game is not a good sign. But obviously, I mentioned earlier, it could be a very tight game depending on how they take care of the football. And look at Lorraine now.
There's Sturgill is the quarterback under center, Justin Sturgill, senior, and he'll give it to his running back, Dalen Dower, in for the touchdown. So Dalen Dower, the touchdown, gives Lorraine the early lead. So they turned it over on down, so they were held on a 4th down, but the fumble recovery inside the red zone, and Lorraine sticks it into the end zone to take a 7-0 lead. So McCall recovers it. Dower gets the touchdown.
And viewers can't be surprised by those 2 Titan players that you just saw on the screen there. Both of them already coming into this game. Both of them either have 1,000 yards rushing or 1,000 yards passing. So obviously you don't want to try to make mistakes against this Titans offense. And matter of fact, they were also in the region final last year. They lost. So this team is really hungry. They want to get back to that position, and maybe even take it a step further and try to even get into the state Final Four. So Bedford can't make these mistakes. They can't try to get into that same situation they were in last year. So
yeah, they lost by 4 points to I believe it was Liberty, team that then went and lost to St. Ignatius in the state semifinal game. So not a good start for the Bedford Bearcats. Bedford, Division II, Region 5, they're in one of the top seeds where you would get a home game, but you keep dropping those, and there's going to be people coming up, you know, biting at your heels to get one of those 4 seeds in a home game for the first playoff game.
And Bedford's a team that has so many weapons offensively. Just take care of the football. If you take care of the football, hand it off to Kenny Wilkins, do whatever you want to do, you're going to be able to score points. The only way you're going to stop yourself is if you do things like that, turn it over.
Yeah, and I'm not. And you're right. I'm not too worried about Bedford because I think they're going to get their points when they need to, in a quick fashion as well. But both of these teams right now, they can control their destiny. But I think if they can try to help themselves, they want to try to get a home playoff game to start the playoffs in Week 11.
Well, the thing that concerns you though is given what they did last year, where they turned the ball over, I believe it was 5 times, they had a bunch of penalties against Lorraine and self-destructed. The question becomes, do you start thinking, oh no, here we go again? Because you were riding the emotional high of turning it over on downs, and you gave it right. I mean, it was the next play. It went back, you know, inside the 10-yard line. You're giving them 4 more downs at a minimum, and you're just putting a lot of pressure on your defense at that point.
Yeah, and we're going to see what they're made of mentally. Can you block out what happened a season ago and put that behind you and get down the field, get points on the board? Trust your weapons offensively. Trust your game plan offensively. Trust that you can score with this Titans team, but you've got to hold on to the football. And when it's something like that, the center quarterback exchange, that's something that can get in your head a little bit. So we'll see how they respond.
The 2 great points that you guys both made. Dave, I want to bring up something that you said. We were talking about putting your defense in a bad situation. If you recall, a few weeks ago, we were talking about the Massillon game and how Bedford was getting back in their end zone, and that's how they lost that game too. So they've got to try to avoid these mistakes. And so, but again, I think Bedford is the capability of being able to try to put up points in a hurry. So we're just going to kind of just see how the rest plays out.
Well, the other game that is a big Division I game is Division I Region I, Canton-McKinley taking on Massillon-Perry. And McKinley is in the red zone with a 4th down coming up, and we will look in. It looks like field goal unit might be coming on for the Bulldogs as an incomplete pass deflected at the line. Zach Blackistone, that's a all-state defensive end who got his big paw up and knocked that down. And it will be a field goal attempt. So it's a 35-yard attempt. The kick is knocked right through the uprights, so McKinley, undefeated on the season, puts 3 on the board with their initial drive. Less than 2 minutes into the game, you see 10:40 in the first quarter, 3-0 McKinley on a 34-yard field goal.
Yeah, that's obviously a good start for the Bulldogs. Perry, we know how difficult they are to defend offensively, and you know they'll hold the football, they'll run the clock. So you want to make your possessions count when you have them, and we know that McKinley can strike quickly. They'll run the football a little bit too. Now, obviously, they were passing there on 3rd down and had it batted down, but you know this is going to an interesting game. Perry in must-win territory right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna. They're very close with Solon for that 8th spot. So if they win, that's an undefeated team. That's a 7-win team. You're going to get bumped up pretty significantly, or an 8-win team at this point. We're in Week 9, but it could very well come down to, did the teams you beat end up winning in the final week of the season? And you don't want that if you're either Solon or Perry, but that's the way it's coming down. It's shaken down with those 2 teams. They're that close to that 8th and final spot. So, you know, the prize for that is you get to play either St. Ignatius or St. Ed's on their home field in the first round. But you'll take it.
Yeah, you'll take that.
Take it.
Give yourself at least that 1 more week of football.
Yeah. I think what impressed me about this Massillon-Perry team coming into Week 9 now is that we're coming off a time when the teams in Ohio were the realignment happened. Some teams moved up, some teams moved down the division. In this case, Massillon-Perry moved up to Division I. They're in a very tough region they have to play in. We've talked about that in the last few weeks here. But Massillon-Perry, they're sitting at a number 8 spot. If the playoffs were to start, they would be able to be in the playoffs right now. But right now, they're kind of fighting to keep that spot or maybe even move forward. Now, the bad thing is right now, if you get yourself in the playoffs, you're going to have to face a very tough team, probably in that 1 or 2 spot. So Massillon-Perry, you know, again, congratulations just in Week 9 getting to this point. But now they got to see if they can try to get a share of the federal title this evening against the Bulldogs.
Well, and, you know, the stat that really jumps out about Massillon-Perry, they're allowing less than 50 yards a game running the football against them defensively. So by and large, if you can stop the run, you're going to be in most games. The challenge for them is going to be, can you run with the fast, and McKinley has small, fast receivers and a good quarterback. Can you hang with the athletes that McKinley is going to run out at you? And not many teams can. That's why they're 8-0.
Yeah, and Elijah Curtis at quarterback, I mean, he's going to have to win this game for the Bulldogs tonight, because if the running game is being shut down the way everyone is talking about that Perry does, he's going to have to try to win it with his arm. And now, no mistake, he has weapons to be able to throw it to. Yeah. So, and what's funny was I was actually reading a story that their top receiver, who has the most yards, is not the fastest guy on the team. That's incredible. So they've got a lot of playmakers they can try to get the ball to, but obviously Elijah Curtis is going to have to win this game with his arm tonight, or with his legs possibly.
Well, we saw that Kirtland took a 7-0 lead, and Cuyahoga Heights trying to answer, and we've alluded to the fact that Redskins have some playmakers. There's Lucas DeRazio. Oh, huge hole. And look at big number 7 running into the end zone, point after away from tying that up, 46-yard touchdown. And the line opened up a huge hole. They did make the point after, so it is tied at 7.
Yeah, I mean, DeRazio at running back, Drummond at wide receiver, Ryan Polk, the quarterback, is a dual threat guy, can throw the ball and run the ball. So they're a difficult, just like Kirtland is difficult to defend for different reasons, because they could hand the ball off to any of 3 or 4 guys at any given time. Cuyahoga Heights is difficult to defend because they're just really balanced. They can go to DeRazio out of the backfield, or they can throw it up to Drummond outside.
Cuyahoga Heights, if people don't know about this team coming out of Northeast Ohio, this was the team that was in the Division VI state final last year. So this team, it has experience. They know what they're doing. And Coach, who just celebrated his 200th win recently, congratulations to him. This team knows what they want to do, and obviously for them to be able to put up 39 points in the first 8 weeks, I mean, there's a sign of just showing that. So obviously this looks like it's going to be a very good game. It always is between these two teams, and yeah. So.
Yeah, they came up just short in that state title game against Marion Local, and they're down in Division VI now. So most of those MAC teams are they're down in Division VII. Most of the MAC teams are in 6 with Kirtland. So Cuyahoga Heights down in Division VII. We'll see how that goes. We had told you that Lorain took a 7-0 lead on Bedford. Bearcats trying to rally, and they have it about the 30-yard line. And Dakota Mincy undercuts the route and takes it in for the touchdown. Another self-inflicted wound by the Bedford Bearcats. I'm telling you, Mincy looked like he knew the pattern and was the intended receiver on that. So a pick 6 for Dakota Mincy, 14-0. Lorain leading Bedford early in that one.
And this defense can score. Lorain's defense a couple weeks ago, Tashawn Leidy had an interception return for a touchdown. So this is a defense that can score points and give an opportunity. Whew, that's bad news.
Though the Titans have playmakers all over the field. Saw them play on a Thursday night against Elyria, and they know they need this one. They're kind of in the middle of that pack. They're 5, 6, 7 in Division I, Region 2. So they're in the other region. They're not in the heavyweight division, if you will. They're in the middle heavyweight division, Division I, Region 2. So this one over a 1-loss Bedford team would help bump them up quite a bit, but they really need this one.
Yeah, no, Lorain is in a position where they control their destiny, and just make no mistake. Even though it's Region 2, they still have a dogfight ahead of them as well. So any of the mistakes that they were making early in the season, they've had to force themselves to try to clean those up come Week 9. And as you can see, it is paying off against Bedford right now. Bedford, on the other hand, they also control their destiny as well. But right now, Bedford is making those mistakes that we talked about earlier. They can't do this. They're getting down a little bit early, but obviously they have the opportunity. They have the opportunity, and they have the ability to be able to close that score. But right now, looking back at this right now, you're kind of wondering, kind of sitting back yourself, how are we going to get to that point, first of all? So
yeah, first of all, you got to stop turning the ball over. That's, you 2 possessions, 2 turnovers.
And one of them turned directly into points.
Right. The other one was inside the 20.
Yeah, it wasn't a turnover, and then 3 plays later they scored. One was you gave the ball to their defense, and the defense scored. And you at least, listen, all turnovers are bad, the ones where you don't even at least have a chance to come out and get a stop or something, those are even worse.
As a Browns beat reporter, you know turnovers.
I can rank the turnovers.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean Lorraine again coming in. I mean they're the defending Lake Erie League title champs, and so I think the first goal is they want to try to win this title, and obviously they're getting a chance to prove that tonight. But I mean you're giving them only a couple 30, 20 yards to cover a space. You're just helping that team. So.
Well, another team that's trying to rebound from a tough loss last week to Stowe. Hudson taking on Twinsburg. The Explorers need a win to get into the playoffs. And here is Colt Pillay to Colin Paultani, and he just high steps into the end zone. 17 yards for the touchdown, and the high step's going to get him a penalty there.
Oh, boy.
But 7-0 Hudson leading Twinsburg in the first quarter. So the Explorers need that one. They're in pretty good shape. A win here would pretty much lock up a playoff spot for them. They're in that 4-5 range, along with Bedford and Brush, and they're in Division II, Region 5, so it's kind of jammed in the middle there.
And they've got Wadsworth next week.
Yeah.
You don't want to go into Wadsworth with everything on the table, because Wadsworth is undefeated, one of the best teams in the area.
Well, we've been keeping track of Cuyahoga Heights and Kirtland tied at 7. Kirtland, they just keep moving the football on the ground again. They don't do a lot of different plays. The plays they run really well and execute them. So Dylan Fulco is your quarterback. The back that is the featured back is Torco, but they give it to Ibecker, and he fights forward down to the 5-yard line. So Kirtland just keeps moving the football on the ground, grinding it out. And it's kind of interesting when you talk to Tiger Laverde. Doesn't do anything terribly flashy. They just do it well. And look at that. Dylan Fulco saw the split there and almost got into the end zone. So now it's 3rd and goal from the 1.
And they hurry up too, so you don't have time to substitute. They're wearing you down a little bit. Obviously, this is lower division, so you don't have a ton of guys to substitute anyway. But it's a challenge defensively.
So you're at 3rd down and goal from just outside the 1-yard line. Power I formation. They bring in a lineman and they give it to Nybecker, and he dives into the end zone. Touchdown, Jake Nybecker. So Kirtland takes the lead back. This one's going to go back and forth as you would expect when these two get together.
Yeah, I think we're setting up for a shootout. There's some big boys on that Kirtland offensive line too. Even just looking at them on a screen, there's some big dudes.
One of the surprise stories that I read about Kirtland this year was that they had 8 scores in one game, and I kept saying to myself, how is that possible to do that? I said, I looked at the opponent, I said, well, maybe it's that. I said, no, but it's just, as you can see, Kirtland is just very efficient. They know how to get up and down the field. They know what they're doing, and, that's just how they're able to put so many points on the board. So Kirtland right now, looking at week 9, I mean, they're in real good shape right now, and obviously this is a game that you definitely probably want to attend if you really love Cuyahoga Heights or Kirtland football. So.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing, literally, they don't have a wide playbook, but they execute the plays they have to near perfection, and that's, they focus in on the details. Block this way, turn this way, open this up. You hit the hole this way. You open. I mean, and that's why they're effective.
And even though as the quarterback you're not going to be asked to drop back and make a bunch of reads, you are still reading things.
Right.
You drop back, all of a sudden the line opens up in front of you. Okay, I'm going straight through there. Or you're reading what a defensive end is doing or what a tackle is doing. So there's a lot of different the quarterback still has to make a bunch of decisions. It's just decisions on whether he's running, handing it off, who he's handing it off to. It's not quite as complicated as like a Menor passing scheme, but you still have to make decisions as the quarterback.
And I'm told that Kirtland's point after was blocked, so that in a game like this where teams are going up and down, that could very well factor into it. What it likely means is the next time they score, they're going to have to go for 2.
And I'd imagine they'd be great at going for 2. I don't know what their 2-point conversion stats are this season, but I'd imagine they are good.
Yeah, and I kind of get a sense. I mean, I feel like, Kirtland, if they want to do it, they can. That's just how they're built, and that's just how they've been able to run. You were talking about Jake at the running back position is coming in tonight. Nybecker was coming in with about 857 yards coming in tonight. So I'm just wondering, could he hit that 1,000? Mark tonight. So we'll just see what happens. We'll see how this game kind of plays out. If they, which I'm assuming they'll probably stick to the running game. but just as many touches as he gets tonight, I'll just be curious about that fact. So we'll see.
Another game that we are tracking, Bay taking on Rocky River. The Bay Rockets have been running the football effectively, and it continues tonight. Trey Segota through the hole, bounces it outside. And look at Trey Segota, 35 yards for the touchdown, and Bay with the lead on the Parma Redmen as the Rockets, Revere. 7-0, Bay leading Revere.
Bay is another team who has proved through the previous 8 weeks that they know what they want to do. They like to run the football, and that's what they're going to stick to. Now, occasionally they'll pass the ball, but they love to run the football. Trey Segota is a threat for them in the backfield, but right now they're in very good contention. I think they actually even have a share of the Great Lakes Conference title already coming in tonight. So right now they're just kind of fighting just to be able to, improve their playoff spot right now and just be able to clean up what they need to come postseason time. So
just pencil in Posada for 3 touchdowns every game. I mean, so he's been getting 3 or 4 touchdowns every single game.
And you know what? The line's doing the job because you saw the hole was pretty big. So a 7-0 lead as Bay leads Revere. And also on the Canton-McKinley game, the Bulldogs now up 10-0, which when you run a wing tee, worst thing in the world is you don't want to fall behind multiple possessions because there aren't many adjustments that you can make. You can pull a guy differently, you can block a little differently, but they're not going to throw the ball a whole lot.
Yeah, exactly, and especially against a team like McKinley that's really explosive offensively. I mean, that 10 can turn into 20 quickly. So you've got to make this possession here count. They have the football right now, trailing 10-0. You've got to make this possession count and come away, hopefully with a touchdown. But you got to put something on the board here.
Yeah, and Perry has so much to play for tonight with the Federal League title, getting a share of that, and then also just the playoffs right now. Like they want to be able to get themselves in a good position and prepare themselves for the postseason. Whereas McKinley, right now, I mean, obviously they want to just try to make sure they kind of stay in the mix because they don't want to get too behind ahead of some of the defending state champions from years past, and then try to stay ahead of some of these newcomers right now. So Perry right now, I think they have a lot more questions that they need to answer tonight, and they need to answer it with a win. So we'll just see what happens with the Panthers tonight.
Well, we've told you that Lorraine out to a 14-0 lead. The Bedford Bearcats trying to rally, and they pitch it to Kenneth Wilkins. Oh, look at the move. Picks up a block. Down the corner. Touchdown Wilkins. Now the Bearcats went for 2 and made it. So that cuts the lead to a 1-score game and 6 at 14-8. Bottom line is they got to clean up the turnovers.
Yeah, but Kenneth Wilkins is a guy you can just give the ball to. And he'll get you that. You saw that cutback. You saw a nice block. If you're wearing 73 in Northeast Ohio, you better be able to give your running back a block like that. And that's a good response there from Bedford.
Yeah, and Wilkins, he's another guy tonight that could reach over his 1,000-yard mark as well. But this Bedford, one great sign to see them get on the scoreboard. We talked about it, they have the ability to be able to do it quick in a hurry. But again, so long as they don't keep shooting themselves in the foot, they should be just fine. But I'm curious who wants this league title more, and we're going to find out tonight.
Well, we are in the middle of the first quarter in Week 9. We're going to step aside and take a timeout here on Friday Night Huddle along with Dan Lobby and Nate Klein from cleveland.com. I'm Dave Bacon. Friday Night Huddle. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
this city, this club stands with you.
Danger from Mira!
What you live for lives here.
The volley, Kamara, yes!
Ohio's television home of Columbus Crew SC. Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum.
This is it. Your big break. Your one shot. Your only chance. There are two outcomes. Make history or be history.
The home of high school sports. Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum. For lives here. We are Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum. Every week, from the locker room to the pitch and everywhere in between, Access Crew SC is your ultimate inside look at the black and gold. Join Marissa Contepelli, Dwight Burgess, and Neil Sika for unmatched coverage, in-depth analysis, and exclusive talks with the players and coaches. This is your club. This is your Access. Access Crew SC, Wednesdays on Spectrum Sports.
The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program has been recognizing students and teachers who shine both in and out of the classroom since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com and click on Supporting Education. Students in kindergarten through 12th grade are eligible to be academic all-stars. K through 12 teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible to be honored as the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Wednesday nights, get ready for kickoff with Spectrum Sports. High School Blitz Preview. The can't-miss show for all things high school football. We'll break down team news, the latest standings, and what to expect on the road to Canton. High School Blitz Preview. Wednesday nights at 7 on Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum.
Have you ever lived for something? Have you ever dreamt of something? Something more? Something special? Something bigger than yourself? Well, have you? This is what you live for!
The home of high school sports. Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum. Crew SC Match Day. Every match, 30 minutes before the kick. Delivering everything fans need to know. With live reports, unmatched analysis, club news, and more. After the game, stay here for Crew SC Post-Match. From the biggest moments to the road ahead, Crew SC Match Day and Crew SC Post-Match. Only on Spectrum Sports.
Welcome back to Friday Night Huddle, along with Dan Lobby and Nate Klein from cleveland.com. I'm Dave Bacon. One of the games we're tracking, Division I, Region I battle, as McKinley battling for a top 4 seed in Division I, Region I, in a potential home playoff game. And here they give it to Keyshawn Watson. He gets the corner, and he gets into the end zone for the touchdown. 10-0, the lead for Canton McKinley. And as we alluded to, Perry with that wing tee not built to come back from big deficits. So they have done that in fairness. Yeah. But they are usually, they're usually a grind it out kind of team that doesn't have a lot of quick strike ability.
Yeah, so now you're down 2 scores to McKinley. It's going to put some pressure on whatever it is you want to do offensively. So yeah, they're going to have to get a stop defensively and get the football back.
Yeah, not bad for the Bulldogs to be able to get a running TD on the board, just considering the history, coming in about Perry and how their defense is able to hold runners. So, great job McKinley on that part. But, obviously Perry now needs to have an answer for the Bulldogs when they come down the field. So.
Well, we've looked at the Lorain and Bedford game. We've seen some highlights. Let's check in with Bryant Kaiser. Bryant, we always send you the crazy ones. What have been your reaction to what you've seen with Bedford and Lorain?
Well, where Lorain is running the ball, they look a little more quicker. For a team that have natural grass at their stadium, on this turf, they light it fast. And Bedford's trying to find out to slow them down.
What's the turnovers obviously have hurt Bedford. We now see it's 20-8 Lorain leading. What has Lorain been able to do offensively?
They run the ball. They have a little passing. If your name start with a D, you scoring. Dylan Dowell with a score. You got Dakota Mincy with that pick 6. And their speed has kind of overrated Bedford right now. I don't think Bedford haven't seen this much speed on a team like this before. They have thrown them off rhythm.
Well, Bedford's used to being the fastest team around, but yeah, the Titans have some playmakers. We haven't even talked about Zion Cross, who is top 5 in the 100-yard dash all 3 years of his high school career, and will likely be top 5 again. He won it one of the years. I think it was his sophomore year. He won the state 100. But yeah, they have a number of playmakers, and they're back at the 30-yard line of Bedford, so they lead 20-8, and they're looking for more. Has it really been a story of turnovers, Bryant, that has really haunted Bedford?
Yeah, that pick 6 for a touchdown has really got Bedford off key. They down 14-0. Fighting for home field advantage for the first round of the playoffs. And Lorain, they coming in ranked 7th, so they need a victory too because they 7, only 8 teams go in, so they need this win too. A boatload of points coming.
Is there when Bedford has been able to not have the self-inflicted wounds? Have you sensed they are able to move the football a little bit on Lorain, or has it just been a couple of big plays and not much else?
Yeah, Kenneth Wilkins, they star running back. He scored a touchdown. They had a 2-point conversion, and somehow they have kept Davon Johnson from breaking it. He's trying to do a little break in a 60-yard run, but Lorain is well aware of his capabilities.
All right, Bryant Kaiser, we appreciate the update. Like I said, that one's sure to be in the 50s because we only send Bryant to the games that have a combined score of 75 or more. So
yeah, we like to keep him there a while.
Another touchdown by the Titans.
There you go.
And Bedford's in trouble.
All right, Bryant, we'll check back in with you. So Lorain puts it back in the end zone, about to go up 27-8.
Maybe he's not going to be there a while. Maybe he's going to get a running clock. A little bit of a surprise.
First time we've been into a running clock.
Well, here is that touchdown. Nice throw by Sturgill, and incomplete. It was not the touchdown, but that was to Tyshawn Lighty is the intended receiver on that. Pretty good toss.
Yeah.
It's only where Lighty could catch it.
Yeah, he got some speedsters in his family, but no relation to David Lighty, so I don't know. He got some speed, though.
All right, Bryant Kaiser, we appreciate the update. We will check back in with you at the Bedford and Lorain game. So, guys, there you have it. Bedford in a whole lot of trouble at this point.
Yeah, and those early turnovers kind of coming back to haunt them a little bit. Had to play catch-up to begin with, and now they're really going to have to play catch-up. Now they've got the offensive firepower to do it. The question is can they get that Lorain offense off the field? And Bryant talked about it. they're on that turf. Sounds like they're flying all over the place right now.
Yeah, and I didn't want to start the show by jinxing the Bearcats in this, but I was looking back at their last game. Lorraine won that at their place 42-7 last year. So I'm kind of wondering at this point.
It was the same type of thing. They botched a snap, and Lorraine scored. They threw an interception, and I mean that was kind of what I was getting at early when, you know, if you're a Bedford Bearcat, it's like, oh, not again. Are we doing this again against Lorraine?
Yeah, and you've got to try not to press. You've got to just go out there and do what you do best here. Even though you're trailing by 3 scores, it's still early in the game. I guess that's kind of the message you have to keep saying over and over again. It's still early in the game, and maybe you can get a couple things going your way and get back in it.
Yeah, and the defense, I mean, when you only have, you know, so much space to work with as well, you know, that's really tough for you as well. So definitely putting the defense in an awkward situation and making mistakes as well, that's going to hurt the hurt the Bearcats in this situation. And right now, Lorraine is capitalizing on those errors. So.
Well, one of the games we're tracking is Bay and Revere, and we showed you a touchdown run by Bay. So Bay with a 7-0 lead, and this time the Rockets are going to go to the air. A little play action, and Connor Shell finds Matt cover. He dives into the end zone, 15 yards, and the Rockets trying to stay unbeaten as they lead 14-0.
Dan, did you just say that they actually threw a rocket there? Was it a rocket? I knew you just said that pun tonight.
I did not say that, but I will take credit for it because it's brilliant.
No, yeah, I mean, the Rockets, I mean, you know, I guess probably the big surprise is just see them actually throwing the football because they've been so accustomed to being able to run the ball and doing it so effectively. But no, absolutely. I mean, I think, you know, you want to be able to work out, you know, a couple more plays as you get closer to the postseason here. But, you know, the Rockets, yeah, no surprise here. I mean, they're up right now and they're moving the ball football.
And, you know, that's what you would expect. You know, you had the Pasota touchdown run. He's going to get a couple more. I'm going to go out on a limb. Did you start him in your fantasy football?
I should have.
He's a monster inside that red zone, I'm telling you. But in all seriousness, Bay needs to keep winning. They want a home first-round game, and they want to be as high as they can get. That gives you, in theory, a more manageable first-round opponent. And remember, after the first round of the playoffs, they go to neutral sites. That's why we keep making a big deal about getting first-round game, home game. You play it where you normally play. Your fans get to come. It's, you know, it's a big deal. So.
Yeah, and Bay, I mean, you know, to their credit, I mean, they've been doing fairly well on the road as well. I mean, obviously, I mean, they're undefeated right now, so I mean, they're doing something right. But here's the funny thing, you know, if the playoffs were to start today, guess who they probably face in the first round? University School. And we're going to follow that game tonight when they play Garfield Heights. But U.S. was another team that kind of came along in the playoffs, did really well. So obviously, playoff seeding is really important, especially now that we're in Week 9. They only got, you know, this week and next week to kind of be able to help themselves in the situation. So I'm really excited. You know, I'm really excited as we get closer here to the postseason.
Well, one of the games we're tracking, Mentor taking on the Euclid Panthers. Euclid with an early lead in this one, and the Mentor Cardinals trying to rally. Tadas Tataruna steps up and throws. Floria oh, what a throw, Floria. 72 yards for the touchdown. I'm going to go out on a limb and say we're going to see that one a little bit later. That was a heck of a throw by Tadas Tatarunas. The conversion was good, so 14-8 as Euclid went for 2 converted, so they were leading 8-7. Mentor scores 14-8. I'm guessing this one's going to be over as well.
You want to talk about basketball scores.
Let's head back to that Cuyahoga Heights and Kirtland game. Kirtland took the lead, missed the point after, and Cuyahoga Heights trying to answer, and they are inside the 10, actually down to the 5-yard line are the Cuyahoga Heights Redskins. You see, let's see if that point after that was blocked comes into play here.
Two teams just so efficient. I mean, I just can't believe just how many times we just keep seeing them go up and down the field. So.
Ryan Polk is the quarterback, and that's their talented wide receiver, Dylan Drummond. They're splitting out to the top of the screen. As you mentioned, Drummond's going to Eastern Michigan. And they're looking towards Drummond, and touchdown. Nice throw by Paul. So they motion Drummond, little backdoor cut, and it's delivered perfectly. That ties it up at 13, point after coming for the Redskins. And this is a team, again, they're in Division 7 this year. And they've got the big back in Durazio, they've got the quarterback, first-year starter, and they've got the wide receiver. And look at this. Oh. This is what they're trying to see is, are you going to put enough guys over there to defend it? Yeah. Once you do, they'll adjust, and they will try to kick it. And Dylan Drummond is the kicker as well, it looks like.
A little bit of everything.
Drummond's extra point.
And pretty good one, as that one will give Cuyahoga Heights a 14-13 lead. Let's see if that point after becomes critical as this game goes on. So 14-13. What it means is Kirtland's going to have to go for 2 at some point, and then, knowing Kirtland, they'll probably do it the next time they score.
Yeah, and the way they use Drummond, I mean, it's interesting because he's the only receiver on the field. They bring him in motion. They kind of bring him back the other way in motion, and the next thing you know, he's catching the football. Everybody knew if they were going to throw, it was going to go to number 2. He still managed to run a good route, get open, and score the touchdown.
Well, the one advantage, he's 6 foot. He's listed at 6 feet, 170 pounds. And it's not like you can put 2 guys over there because they're tightly bunched together. So that's kind of Coach Al Martin, saying, this guy's pretty big and he's a good athlete. Who are you going to cover him with?
Let him use that body.
Yeah.
Kind of box out a little bit. Just throw the football to him.
Eastern Michigan has to be pretty proud just to be, if they were even in the stands watching this game tonight, he's like, hey, just put a touchdown on the board for us. But 468 yards receiving this year and about 6 touchdowns. So, Drummond has been able to find the end zone. He's been able to, put Cuyahoga Heights in some very good situations. So, I'm not going to discount Kirtland in this, right? Because as you can see, never. We talked about it earlier, they can move up and down the field. But yeah, this is going to be a pretty great game right here, and also for the CVC title as well. So.
Well, Perry is actually making some noise against Canton McKinley, so that's always a good thing as they're fighting back, and we will check in on that in just a minute. Cuyahoga Heights, though, this is a team that couldn't get over Kirtland, finally got over them last year, did it twice. Made it to the state championship game, and this is setting up to be just one of those rivalries that you love to see year in and year out.
Yeah, and these are 2, the smaller schools in Northeast Ohio. So you gotta have a lot of people coming out, try to cheer these players on, and the alumni are coming out and everything. And right now we're in week 9. I mean, they're trying to help themselves, to get set for the playoffs here, and they're trying not to make any errors. They're trying to clean up whatever they can. But Cuyahoga Heights, we even had a bold prediction to start the year. We felt like Cuyahoga Heights, was bringing back enough to maybe even make it to the state final. And right now, they're kind of proving right now against one of the best teams in Northeast Ohio that they're doing such that.
It's a good place to watch a football game, too. I like that stadium. It's kind of dug into a hill a little bit. It's a good place to watch a game. And, it's too bad that these 2 teams aren't going to meet in the playoffs again this year, that they're in different divisions.
Yeah, unless they both go to the state championship game, then it's okay. We're going to check back in. Bedford trying to answer, taking on Lorraine. They had a touchdown called back with a holding penalty, but they're inside the 5. Wilkins feed. Nice hit. Coming up and saying not so fast is the linebacker filling the gap and knocking him down. And got to find
look at that. But I mean,
Lorraine
but they need to cut into that lead right there.
Cairo Smith, the middle linebacker, shows you how you feel.
To get around him here.
So you're looking now at the ball is inside the 1 after Cairo Smith came in and knocked down Wilkins. Go the same. There's no need to change that formation. Wilkins again, and this time into the end zone without any problem. It's 28.
Flag 9-7 came in late and gave him a push in the back.
So it's 28-14 point after coming.
Second touchdown.
So the question is, what will they do with that penalty? But
you know what? A good job to respond. Bedford down 20, cuts into it.
Yeah, that's what you need to do. You get that opportunity, you've got to take advantage of it, put points on the board. It's going to be 28. At least 28-14. Maybe you go for 2 here, make it 28-16, whatever they decide to do. But you needed to get points on that possession, and they did it.
And again, the concerning thing is you had a holding penalty that negated a touchdown. So those are still those self-inflicted wounds that have allowed Lorraine to put 28 points on the board pretty quickly in this game. They're not at halftime yet. So that's a concern. And if I'm concerned about it, you can be sure Sean Williams is going to be talking about it at halftime.
Yeah, I'm sure Williams let his offense know, like, look, we can't have these mistakes again. You can't put you can't put our defense in these situations. So, Bedford, great job answering right now, but they still just have this hill to climb right now and try to close this lead here that Lorraine has. So,
and they went for 2, missed it, so it stays 28-14, and that's no harm, no foul on that. Now you're two touchdowns, 2-point afters away from tying it up, but all that's moot if you don't take care of the football and start playing some defense.
Well, all Coach Williams has to do is point up to the press box and say, see Brian Kaiser up there? We're going to have a lot of points, guys. A lot of points coming tonight.
That man only comes to games where 80 points combined are scored. So
yeah, but I'm pretty sure that Sean Williams also challenged his guys. He said, look, these are last year's league title winners last year. So, I mean, what are you going to do about that? Do you want this title or not? So, and the way you got to do that is you got to be able to try to limit those errors that you were making early in the first quarter. But there's still plenty of time in this game. But, yeah, should be a great game for even a title game and try to improve your playoff standings here. So,
yeah, without question, that's one of the things that you're looking for. Well, Massillon Perry trying to get back into this as they were down 10-0 in the first quarter. They go for it on 4th down. Baker throws it, and it is a heck of a throw. As coming up with it is Nicholas Groves, and then the touchdown run is taking it into the end zone for the Perry Panthers is Jaron Curtis. So it's now 10-7 is the score. And a good job by the Perry Panthers. Didn't panic. They throw the ball on 4th down, and you see Kent McKinley was surprised because you don't expect them to throw the football. And a heck of a job by Baker, Max Baker, that quarterback that led them to the state championship game last year, came up with a big throw. And
the way you get back in a game is you take a turnover and you turn it into points. And that's what Perry did there. They got an interception off McKinley, marched right down the field, and put 7 on the board.
Jaron Curtis comes in last week, had 123 yards and 4 touchdowns last week. So obviously this is a name that we're probably going to hear a lot about tonight, and I'm sure that McKinley knows about them as well. But I don't know if anyone else caught this, but man, you can tell just some of the little eye contact they were having and some of the little extra hands pushing. This is a game. This is a really tough game. I mean, this is a game that they know how important this game is. And I just love to see it. I mean, we talked about it earlier. I think it was like a Minner and Elyria play or something last few weeks. But, boy, I mean, this is a really aggressive game, and so I just can't wait to see how this kind of plays out for the Federal League title. So.
Well, the challenge for McKinley is going to be can that defense stop for Perry is can that defense stop McKinley's offense? Nobody's really been able to do that at this point. Now, the turnover, that's one of the ways. If you can't stop them, if you can turn it over enough, that helps.
Yeah, it's the bend but don't break, right?
Yep.
Maybe they'll gain some yardage on you, but if you can force some turnovers, hold them to field goals. So they've held them to a field goal. They've forced a turnover. Of course, they've given up the touchdown too. So defensively, maybe you're not thrilled with what you've done if you're Perry, but you've done okay. You've held them to 10 points, and you forced a turnover.
Let's check back in with Kirtland and Cuyahoga Heights. Kirtland inside the red zone again, trying to answer, and they're just kind of standing still, waiting on us.
Slowing it down.
There you go. They were waiting for us to join them. So Kirtland from the 2-yard line, 4th down. So it's 4th and goal, or 4th and 2. They can actually get a first down, and now they're going to call the timeout. See, do we really want to do this down a point? So kind of interesting dynamic there. Is 4th down, and they were at about the 3-4 yard line. They needed to get to the 2 for the first, so it was 4th down and 2.
Yeah, kind of a big moment here, but there's going to be a lot of points in this game. Yeah, I don't know what Kirtland's kicking game is like. Maybe they would rather take their chance on 4th down here instead of kicking a field goal. So curious to see what happens.
Yeah, and coach has to feel pretty confident about his football team. I mean, they should be able to run the football, but obviously against a Cuyahoga Heights team and a CVC title on the line as well. You want to probably be careful of what you ever do here. So, but yeah, no, it's going to be a very tough call. Not tough call necessarily, but it'll be a challenging call of what they decide they want to do in this place.
So Kirtland trying to get back the lead as they were trailing 14-13 after the missed point after. The Perry Panthers getting it done too. As they Kent McKinley was driving, they get a turnover. So there's the turnover thing again as well. And they come back, and we are ready to go. Kirtland, fourth down.
We're going to get that more than 90% of the time.
Probably closer to a yard. Power I, Fulco, the big quarterback, keeps it. Flag comes in from the back judge. He has the first down.
This is interesting.
Yeah, let's see what the call is on this one.
That's exactly what the call is from Kevin Selecki.
Oh, it's a sideline warning.
Okay.
All right. Pick the flag up, put it in your pocket, and go back and play. So it's first and goal from the 1 yard line. So
now they're walking the ball back. So I wonder if this is the second.
Kirtland. Not only does that cost Kirtland.
I'm wondering if this is the second time they've gotten
another sideline warning.
Now, if you're the Hornets, you might really think about kicking a field goal here.
Oh yeah, they did. So they
so that must have not been the first time.
So they back it up to the 8-9 yard line, and now you are going to try a field goal. So a field goal attempt, ball spotted at the 15 yard line. It'll be a 25 yard attempt, and Cuyahoga Heights calls a timeout. The wheels are turning at Cuyahoga Heights.
You got to keep your sideline under control if you're Kirtland.
Wow,
I mean it's a crowded sideline though, especially for a Division VI school. But you got to keep it, keep it under control.
I don't know that I've seen many of those. I've seen a lot of the warnings,
like the initial warning,
right? Yeah. But I don't know that I've seen too many where they actually cost them 5 yards,
especially that early in a game. Usually it's the second one to get it that early in the game. Bizarre.
Yeah, and absolutely, and I'm going to love watching this game as we get down the stretch because eventually they're going to start playing chess with each other. Like, what are you going to do in this situation? What are you going to do in that? So, no, this is, not. I mean, the penalty. That aside from that, this is still going to be a very challenging game for both teams here. So,
one of the games we are keeping our eye on is Olmsted Falls and Avon Lake. Austin Opfer is at that game. It's at halftime already, and Austin joins us on the phone. A quick first half, Austin. What's going on with the Bulldogs and Shoreman?
So far, it's been a tight one, and Avon Lake has really shown their defense when it's counted. First quarter, didn't see a whole lot of action. We were scoreless, but Olmsted Falls took 2 drives inside the 20, and Avon Lake got an interception. And then another possession, they mishandled the snap, and that took them back. And then it's turnover on downs. Avon Lake, then they scored on a Jack McCulloch 2-yard keeper, and that was after a great pass on a play action that they took down to the 3-yard line. He found Cole Strafe. Unfortunately, ensuing kickoff, Michael Lauer took it 96 yards, and that's where we sit right now at the half, 7-7.
How has the Bulldogs running game been today? It was really effective last week. How has Olmsted Falls run the football in this one?
Yeah, I'd say Avon Lake has really been able to hone down on that. I mean, coming in, Olmsted Falls, 5 guys, over 300 yards rushing, and so far they haven't been able to get much going. The defense has really stiffened when they've had to, especially when Olmsted Falls has been able to get into their territory.
What about Avon Lake? What really has kind of jumped out about the Shoremen in this one?
I think it's just their ability to move the ball, especially through the passing game. They had another pass into the end zone that Strafe couldn't hold on to, and that would have been another touchdown. But so far, they've been able to move the ball, and right now it looks like it's going to be a good finish to this one.
All right, Austin Opfer, we appreciate the update. We will check back in with you. Mentor and Euclid doing battle, and we saw the long touchdown pass from Tadas Tatarunas. Here is Shabazz throwing deep. Trayvon Lindsay catches it right in stride. And Lindsay having a big night, his 3rd touchdown of the game. And Trayvon Lindsay is a heck of a wide receiver for Euclid. Had a big game against the St. Ignatius Wildcats earlier in the year as well. And as we look at the score, 22-14 Euclid on the strength of 3 Trayvon Lindsay touchdown receptions with the lead.
I'll go ahead and start. I think it would mean so much to Euclid to win the title this year, just considering the last few years. Jeff Rotsky coming to that program, numbers are up for the program, so I think they would really love to be able to get a title here and then also be able to set themselves up for a good playoff spot as well, but we'll see.
Right, so a few weeks ago, Aubrey Shabazz came on to play. He came in for C.J. Hale, and we were talking about him a little bit. I get a direct message from him on Twitter a couple days later. He's like, hey, I play quarterback at VASJ. I put up some big numbers. I think we're seeing that right now. So message received, Mr. Shabazz.
But you know, boy, I mean, even though they have a lot of playmakers, they're still missing Shabazz kind of floating around in that offense and the slot receiver and everything with C.J. Hale out.
Well, Hale, yeah. I mean, you're missing Hale, who's a playmaker. Yeah. So, you know, it's kind of a double hit because, you know, Shabazz is a big guy that they were playing in the slot, and that, even though he's not playing quarterback, teams have to be aware their slot guy can throw the football, and he has.
yeah. I mean, it does take a playmaker off the field, but to have that ability to just move a guy over to quarterback because he's played that position before and be able to continue to run your offense and kind of, look, it's always that next man up mentality. You want to build a program like Coach Rotsky has been doing at Euclid, you're going to have guys ready to step up and make plays for you.
And boy, and I'm just looking at that this Mentor Euclid matchup because one, I mean, obviously somebody wants that title, but then look at the situation with the playoffs right now. Mentor is at number 3, Euclid is at number 5. That could be a really shakeup right now, and then you got McKinley hanging around in the middle as well. So this is a very important game for both teams, and then also you're going to probably have some cheerleaders cheering for Perry as well to try to knock off McKinley tonight as well. So.
Well, one of the games we're tracking is the Bedford Bearcats. They're down 28-14, trying to get back in it against the Lorraine Titans. Emmanuel Jenkins to Davion Johnson. He caught it as he was so quick. He ran right out of the screen into the back of the end zone. Point after, no good, though. So 28-20, and it remains an 8-point lead as they're already approaching 50. We ain't at halftime yet, so Brian Kaiser might get 100 on that one.
You know, and only because you guys said something. That's why it's happening.
We jinxed him.
He's always going to those games. We didn't jinx him.
But Davion Johnson had 302 receiving yards against Copley. 302 receiving yards in a 32-minute game.
Yeah, but just look how fast they get up in the just look how fast they get up in the field and be able to put points on the board. And just think if they didn't create those turnovers early in the game, if they didn't, you know, drop the ball or, you know, throw the interception, you know, what kind of situation it could have been in right now. But, man, you know, Lorraine's got to be thinking, what are we going to do now? I mean, they're ahead, but you know, we're going to see what happens. But, yeah, Bedford's just got to be able to limit those, and this should be a really good game. So,
yeah, it'll be interesting to see. You know, again, Lorraine's offense has some playmakers as well. So let's see how long Bedford can hold Lorraine's offense down as well.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. You know, I misspoke. It's at 32 instead of 48 minutes because this is going to be a basketball score when all is said and done.
Yeah, you know what? It certainly will be. And we're kind of approaching halftime at most of the games here in Week 9. And, you know, one of the ones that's very interesting, McKinley, is inside the 5-yard line trying to push that back to a you know, more than a 4-point game, 3-point game, as it's 10-7 at the current time. So, you know, that's huge momentum boost as well.
Yeah, you know, if you're McKinley, this is now you're in the situation where you can answer. And again, it's been turnovers. You know, when you turn the ball over, you can correct that. Just stop turning the ball over and run your offense. try and get that 2-score lead going into the locker room.
Another game we are keeping an eye on, Hoban taking on Notre Dame Cathedral Latin. Mike Patika is covering that game, and he joins us on the phone. Mike, what's going on with the Knights and the Lions?
Well, Hoban's all but assured of its 8th straight win after a season opening loss to St. Ignatius. They lead Notre Dame Cathedral Latin 28-0 at the half. Hoban has 175 yards total offense. Notre Dame Cathedral Latin has 0. Matt Salopek plays some strong safety, linebacker, a terrific athlete, has 4 quarterback sacks for Hoban.
Wow.
And, you know, they've basically had their way both running the ball and throwing the ball when they need to.
Mike, have you been impressed with the Knights' offensive line? That's a unit that's got a couple guys back that are starting, a couple guys that are D1 recruits. Have they been as good as advertised?
Yeah, they look good, but Notre Dame Cathedral Latin, the score's deceiving. You know, one touchdown was set up by a block punt. Another one was a fumble recovery for a touchdown. You know, the Hoban offensive line is starting to wear down the NDCL defensive line a little, but I would say the NDCL defense, nothing to really be embarrassed about. You know, it's just that Hoban has had the ball most of the time and usually in good scoring position. In fact, they also had a goal line stand to deny Hoban what would have been a second touchdown.
I'm guessing with a defense that hasn't allowed any yardage in the first half, they look pretty good too then, huh?
Well, yeah, they've given up just one play of double-digit yardage. They gave up a 15-yard pass and 5 quarterback sacks total. You know, let's see, as I look quick here at the stats. In fact, they have only 2 plays. NDCL offense has only 2 plays of more than 5 yards, a 7-yard run and a 15-yard pass.
All right. We appreciate it. Mike Patika, we will check back in with you as the Hoban Knights looking every bit like the Division II bullies that they are, as their only loss is to St. Ignatius in Week 1 with a freshman quarterback starting in that game. Let's head back to the phones. Dan Gillis is covering the Avon-Amherst game. Dan, how do those Eagles look tonight?
They look dominant tonight. Any after effects from last week's close win over North Ridgeville are gone. It's been all Avon. They're up 28-0. Tony Eberhard has 2 rushing touchdowns, 57 yards on the ground in the first half. And Ryan Malloy, their quarterback, is 10 for 12 for 92 yards, and he has an 18-yard touchdown pass. So and a rushing touchdown as well. So those are the 2 individual standouts so far for the Eagles.
What about the Avon defense? How have they been playing, and what really jumps out about them tonight?
What really jumps out about the Avon defense is the way they've been containing Amherst running back Kennedy Scaglioso. Scaglioso has pretty much been Mr. Do-Everything for the Comets all year, and they've been bottling him up pretty well. And everything that they've tried to do, Amherst has even tried to direct snap to Scaglioso, but he's been held to 18 yards on 12 carries, and really hasn't been able to get anything going offensively. The passing game has been struggling as well. They've only completed 1 pass out of 7, along with an interception. So actually the Comet offense only crossed midfield once, and that was right before the end of the half. So pretty much it's been a dominating effort on both sides of the football by the Avon Eagles.
Dan Gillis, we appreciate the update. We will check back in with Dan at the Avon-Amherst game. So some heavyweights in Division II being Avon and Hoban, both in the top 10 in the state in the AP rankings, both at the top of their respective regions. They're in different regions. Hoban's in Region 5, Avon's in Region 6, Division 2. Both looking like the heavyweights that they are in that division.
That Hoban defense is tough. I mean, they gave up, like Mike said, no yardage in the first half of that game.
5 quarterback sacks.
They held I mean, they held Padua a couple weeks ago to 10 points. That's a good offense. That's the only time Padua has been held under 20 all season. Padua bounced back and scored 31 the next week.
Well,
that's a really good defense.
They held St. Ignatius to 17.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all you need to know.
Yeah, and in DCL, I mean, they're no slouch. So let's just go ahead and get that cleared up. I mean, they come in tonight with a 7-1 record. But you're talking about a Hoban team who has a lot of accolades to go along with them. They're getting, if they haven't already, they have already won their league title. Going back to the Avon game, they won their league title as well. These are some very well-established programs here. But now here's also the funny thing. Now that Hoban has moved up to Division II, there's a good chance that maybe if everything were to work out in favor of itself, they could face each other in the state Final Four somewhere possibly. So, I would love to see these two programs. Obviously, you heard Avon is very efficient on offense, and Hoban right now sounds like they're also clicking, especially after that Week 1 loss to St. Ignatius, and haven't looked back since.
Spencer Davies is covering the Revere Bay game. We've seen a couple of highlights from this one. Spencer joins us on the phone. Spencer, how dominant do the Rockets look tonight?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a very ground-heavy based game right now. Trey Pisota, 2 touchdowns, 47 yards. He's got like 11 carries at half. 5 different Rockets have gotten the ball out of the backfield in some way, so it seems like they're really trying that ground-and-pound style. The defense looks pretty sharp as well, but Revere is trying to keep staying in this game. Nate Klinowski with a 10-yard touchdown there midway through the second quarter, and then had a big stop before the half there, Brandon Tricano, when Connor Shell tried to hit one of his receivers in the corner of the end zone, broke it up, and then it resulted in a missed field goal. So it's 21-7 at half, and it's a pretty good game, and Revere seems like they're trying to stay into it.
Hey, Spencer, this is Nate. Bay doesn't give up too many points at all in the past in the 8 weeks. So I'm just curious, how did Revere get on the board there?
Revere went on the board because there was a couple of big gains there by Matt Buser, one of their senior running backs. It seems like they got out on the open field a little bit. They had stopped Nick Klinowski's first 5 attempts passing, but he completed his last 2, and a couple of them for big gains. So a couple of big plays going down the field, and it really just set up a read option play for Klinowski to get into the end zone.
All right, Spencer Davies, we appreciate the update. We will check back in with Spencer. He is covering the Bay Revere game. Bay leading 21-7, leading by 14 at half. Our Jeff Sabo is at the Hudson Twinsburg game, and he joins us. Jeff, what's going on with the Tigers and the Explorers?
Well, we have a handy-dandy barn burner going on here at Twinsburg's Tiger Stadium. It was literally a tale of 2 quarters, where Hudson dominated that first quarter. They got on the board very early on when Colt Pillay found Colin Paltini for an 18-yard touchdown catch. And then not too long after that, Twinsburg would go down, get a field goal. It was a 7-3 Hudson lead. And then on the ensuing kickoff, Dawson Worvey would take it over 70 yards into the end zone, and then Hudson would go up 14-3. Come second quarter, the Tigers, they definitely came out firing. Cameron McLean, he had a lot of key runs. That offensive line was really opening up a lot of holes for him. And then before you know it, James Bissett went in from about 20 yards out, bounced off of a defender, so to speak, went into the end zone. And then a couple drives later, Isaiah Savage, who actually really had some good catches and some key plays on that drive, he ended up going in from 28 yards out. And then before you know it, Twinsburg at that point was up 17-14. Hudson would manage to get the ball. They drove it down, and then they ended up getting a 36-yard field goal by Grant Gagne. And here we are at halftime, tied at 17.
What has Twinsburg's offense been able to do that has enabled them to get 17 points? Hudson's defense usually pretty stout. What has Twinsburg been able to do in this one?
Well, Twinsburg, they've been able to get a lot of key plays, not only with Cameron McLean in the backfield, but also the wide receiver core. James Bissett, he's come up with a lot of key catches. And then Trey Radford, he's really come up with a lot of key catches as well. In the first quarter, what Twinsburg was really having trouble with was that they were getting within inside the 5-yard line, but they couldn't convert. However, second quarter, they were able to get some key runs out of Cameron McLean. they started swapping in both Seth Grabowski and Adam Vandemotter, and they were doing a lot of those read option plays to help move the ball up the field. And then they were just simplifying, just keep going to a lot of inside slants, getting a lot of first downs that way. And as a result, changing it up a little bit in the second quarter really helped get Twinsburg back in this football game.
All right, Jeff Sabo, we appreciate the update. We will check back in with Jeff at the Hudson and Twinsburg game. And Twinsburg beat Hudson last week and back at it again. Also joining us on the phone now from the Kirtland-Cuyahoga Heights game is Stephen Means. Stephen, your perspective of what's going on with the Hornets and the Redskins.
You know, this is a rivalry game, and so far it has lived up to that bidding. 16-14, Kirtland leads at the half. But this has pretty much been a back-and-forth affair with both teams using their ground game to have success. And Cuyahoga Heights went to the pass a little bit in the second quarter, but twice this game, Kirtland has been able to stop big momentum drives from Cuyahoga Heights with interceptions. And they lost the lead for a little bit because of a blocked punt from Dylan Drummond, but regained the lead, as you can see, 16-14 at the half.
When you look at it, some of the things you think are going to be the key in the second half of this one?
To be honest with you, the big play is how both teams have scored. Not Becker has, like I said, an interception, but he also had, and then on the other side, DeRazio for Cuyahoga Falls has a 47-yard run for a touchdown. So it's really going to come down to who can make big plays in the second half and put points on the board.
Stephen, when you look at Cuyahoga Heights, how have they kind of dealt with Kirtland and their, they run the ball with 3 or 4 different guys sometimes. How have they been able to deal with that?
They've kept it short. They've kept them about 2 or 3 yard runs at a time, 2 and 3 yard runs at a time, and haven't really allowed them to get out into the open space and have those big runs. And so that looks like that's been their goal, is to just keep the runs short. They know that there's going to be 3 or 4 different guys who could possibly touch the ball every time they have a possession. So just keeping it to short gain and trying to get 3 and outs.
Stephen Means, we appreciate the update on Kirtland and Cuyahoga Heights. We will check back in with Stephen later in this one is halftime. And the field goal is the difference in that one, 16-14. We're at halftime for most of the games here in Week 9, the next to last week of the regular season. Playoff picture is taking shape. We're going to step aside and take a quick timeout. We will be right back on Friday Night Huddle along with Dan Lobby from cleveland.com, Nate Klein from cleveland.com. I'm Dave Bacon. Friday Night Huddle. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
This city, this club stands with you.
Danger from Mira!
What you live for lives here.
The volley, Kamara, yes!
Ohio's television home of Columbus Crew SC. Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum.
This is it. Your big break. Your one shot. Your only chance. There are 2 outcomes. Make history or be history.
The home of high school sports. Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum. here. We are Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum.
The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program has been recognizing students and teachers who shine both in and out of the classroom since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com and click on Supporting Education. Students in kindergarten through 12th grade are eligible to be academic all-stars. K through 12 teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible to be honored as the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Wednesday nights, get ready for kickoff with Spectrum Sports. High School Blitz Preview. The can't-miss show for all things high school football. We'll break down team news, the latest standings, and what to expect on the road to Canton. High School Blitz Preview. Wednesday nights at 7 on Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum. Every week, from the locker room to the pitch and everywhere in between, Access Crew SC is your ultimate inside look at the black and gold. Join Marissa Contepelli, Dwight Burgess, and Neil Sika for unmatched coverage, in-depth analysis, and exclusive talks with the players and coaches. This is your club. This is your Access. Access Crew SC, Wednesdays on Spectrum Sports.
Welcome back to Friday Night Huddle. I'm Dave Bacon along with Dan Lobby and Nate Klein from cleveland.com. Week 9 of high school football all across the Buckeye State, and one of the games we're tracking is Bedford taking on Lorraine. The Bearcats fell behind 28-20, trailing. But hang on, here they come. Emmanuel Jenkins dumps it off to DeCarline Townsend. Oh, look at him go, breaking tackles. Look at the stiff arm. He's still on his feet. Townsend with the touchdown, and the point after was no good, so it's a 2-point lead for Lorraine. And they're not at halftime yet. 28-26 the score. That one will definitely be a top play nominee for next week. As what a run by DeCarline Townsend.
Shaking guys off. I thought he was just going to carry that one guy into the end zone with him. Impressive. Back in the game.
Do you think he was going to be denied of that touchdown?
Obviously not.
No. No, he was not going to be tied down for this play. No, I mean, man, just you saw some of the stiff arm work that he was doing to get that touchdown. But I mean, that's what Bedford's going to have to do against this Lorraine team. They're going to have to fight for this win. So, man, it's turned out to a great game, and it's only the first half. So.
You have one that says yes?
No.
Okay.
No.
I wasn't sure. I was just making sure.
So,
yeah,
great game.
Let's check in with Bryant Kaiser, who is at the game. Bryant, you only get the crazy ones. What's going on?
I think the first one is 60. It didn't look that way in the first half. I mean, the first quarter was 28-8, but Bedford had ran off 18 straight points, and Lorraine just came down and scored a 4-yard touchdown run by Dakota Mincy. And now it's 34-26, and we're getting ready for halftime.
So I got to ask you, do you dislike defense? Do you request the high-scoring games every week?
Oh, I love it, man. Especially when you had this guy named DeCarline Townsend go 60 yards. I mean, he just dragged one guy like 20 yards. They're like, get off of me, and still scored.
we actually just looked at that touchdown run, a couple of stiff arms and dragging people. What has enabled Bedford to get back in this?
They finally caught up to that speed what Lorraine has, and interception that Sturgis did throw got Bedford right back in with momentum. You know, you're down by 20. You need a turnover, and they got that one back. Then they scored, and that's how it really got Bedford back into the ball game. Oh, and a fumble, and a late Savard. 40. He might not get there, though. 30. And he was right out of bounds.
All right.
Just before the half ended. Woo!
Bryant Kaiser at the Lorraine-Bedford game. We will check back in with Bryant as that approaches halftime. So, we saw the run by Townsend. The good news for Lorraine is they answered with a short touchdown run to extend the lead back out from what was just 2.
Yeah, and man, what a game. I mean, I guess kind of what we expected between these two teams.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what you would think. We've come to expect that. So,
yeah, and we're keeping Bryant busy. I don't know how he keeps stats, but I hope he's got like just a huge notebook of blank pages for this.
Yeah, the interesting thing is every week he's going to the game that's the first one to 50, first one to 60 wins. So I just think he doesn't like defense.
Maybe.
He's one of those guys.
Yeah.
What is the sign?
Yeah, no. I'm always just very surprised just how he's able to at least call in, because there always seems to be something going on in that game. So even halftime, he can't even spare a moment. So, but no, I mean, this, we talked about maybe 3 or 4 at least title games tonight that are going to come down to it. And this Lorraine-Bedford game, I mean, this is obviously one of those, and you can see why it's living up to that hype right now. So the question is now is just, when is this game going to get a little bit closer? Obviously we saw that 28-26 lead that Lorraine was still being able to hold. But now these defenses really have to say to themselves, we got to make a stop at some point in this game, and we're going to need to do it fast. So.
Well, something that always lives up to the hype, the top 15 plays. This is how you voted for them on cleveland.com during the week. Our top 15 plays of the week. And checking in at number 15, the LaSalle Lancers. Their quarterback, Griffin Merritt, wants to throw. And he takes a shot, and a nice pass and a good grab by Jacob Seibert. 84 yards for the touchdown. 17-9. LaSalle beats St. Vincent St. Mary.
4th down on number 14. It's Piccowa's Austin Davis. He's going to connect with Hayden Shrub for 29 yards. Touchdown pass late in the 4th quarter. Piccowa wins 33-27.
At number 13, check out St. Vincent St. Mary's defense scoring a safety against LaSalle, the defending state champions here. Fighting Irish fell, though, 17-9 to the Lancers.
Number 12, Brushes. Mitchell Kellogg gets the handoff through the hole, and Mitchell Kellogg turns it into a 34-yard touchdown run, 21-20. The Arcs beat Chardon.
Sam Bubonics comes in at number 11 for Solon. Clutch interception here for the Comets of Tadas Tatarunas, but Solon falls short 38-34.
In the upset game last week, check out number 10, Moeller's Colin Thurman scores from 73 yards out. Wow.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say they're not going to catch him.
Yeah.
Good guess.
Moeller won 41-20 against the St. Ignatius Wildcats.
I am a trained professional. Number 9, Brushes Bradford Eason. 2-point conversion. He says, not this time, Andrew Kobieski. That was the deciding stop in a 21-20 Arcs victory. That gave them the win.
Back to Solon and Menor Trayvon Raphael from 74 yards. Another big run here as one man to beat. He's going to beat him into the end zone. We're going to have even more from this game coming up a little bit later.
Check out number 7 here. Colt Hudson's Colt Pillay connects with Colin Paultini for an 11-yard touchdown pass. Look at him hauling it in there. Explorers fell, though, 35-23 to the Stowe Bulldogs.
Speaking of Stowe, their talented running back, Terrion Ray, gets the handoff and then whoop, over the defender. That's a penalty. You can't do that in high school, but the Bulldogs won 35-23 over Hudson.
Number 5, it's Padua's Colin Pavlis. He's going to haul in a 23-yard touchdown pass from Drew Butler with one hand. Padua 31-17 winners over Benedictine.
All right, at number 4, Mentor's Magic Man, Tadas Tatarunas connects with Luke Floria for a, guess what, 44-yard touchdown pass More from these two later.
Take a look at Menor again. Tatarunas to Logan Shea. Logan Shea fights. He's a DB. He throws the other DB away. Dives into the end zone for the touchdown. A nice job by Logan Shea. We're not done with Menor just yet.
Number 2 got 22% of the vote. Benedictine's Matthias Shimaluski. He's going to score on a 22-yard touchdown run. Number 2, 22% of the vote, 22-yard touchdown run. The Bengals, though, fall to Padua, 31-17.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, at number 1 at 49%, check out Tatarunas with Floria right here for a 64-yard touchdown pass. Look at him go.
Directing traffic.
What? Menor won 38-34 against the Solon Comets. Take a look at that play one more time.
Oh, my. He had,
That's Mason. Andrew Mason almost had the pick, and Floria said, thank you for collecting that for me. I don't know if I could have got that if you didn't deflect it.
It's like you picked up at the offering plate there, man. I was just waiting.
Sometimes the brakes just got to go your way.
So hashtag FNH for Friday Night Huddle's top play. Send us your top play. We'll use them. We'll put them online. You can go and vote on cleveland.com on the top play that you see. There'll be 15 of them, 16 of them. If you send more, there'll be more. So we will put them up online, cleveland.com, at about noon tomorrow, and you'll be able to vote until noon on Thursday. And then next Friday night, we'll tell you which were the top plays that you voted on. But again, hashtag FNH top plays if you have a play. We want to see it.
I'm very surprised by the voting this week. I thought Tyrion Ray's jump was really great.
Maybe we have a lot of rule-abiding voters.
That was a pretty good catch.
And definitely that touchdown pass with Menor to seal the win right there, where Floria was just fighting off the defender there. That was what won the game for them at the end. So I'm very surprised that the voters decided to go with them, not even at the top one. But, hats off, congratulations to the winner, though. But
that was pretty different as far as, the ball's bobbled and you grab it and you get in for the long. Come on, it's the flash.
Yeah, that was a bizarre. That's one of those plays that you don't see very often. So I think that's maybe why. And yeah, I mean the hurdle. That was fun to watch. But again, maybe our voters don't like flags.
It's okay. If you're a rebel, you should have voted for the hurdle. I said that last week, and I firmly believe it. The rebels voted for the hurdle. Now, I know it's dangerous, so before I get any tweets or any emails, I understand. I'm just kidding. Let's adjust to we didn't get a chance to talk a whole lot about the Bedford and Lorain game. So a nice job, Bedford, to climb back in it. But if you're Coach McFarland, you have to be happy that you put one on the board before halftime.
Now, here's something that goes against the behavior of both of these teams. They don't allow too many points per se, around maybe in the 17s and 20 points allowed. So that's why to see this game as far as it is right now in scoring, that's a very big surprise in this game. So, but obviously we saw early in the game, a couple turnovers here, a couple turnovers over there. That's what really impacted the game. But definitely taking care of the football in the second half is going to be key for both of these teams. And we're going to see if Lorain wants to defend their title and try to win it again this year, or is Bedford going to try to knock them off of that?
And sometimes you just get into these games where you just realize early on there's not going to be a lot of defense. And whatever it is, whether coaches find something to expose on the outside and they just attack it over and over again, whatever it is, you just get into these games where it's like, okay, this is going to come down to, can somebody force a turnover? Who's going to have the football last? And it's just going to be you score, we score. And that's how the game's going to go the rest of the night. And it sure feels like that's how this game is going to go here over the last 24 minutes of football.
Well, the other thing is both of them have playmakers on offense. I mean, big time playmakers. So that's another part of it, is just how quick they are, how talented they are, and how explosive they are on offense.
And man, this also has to get you really excited about the playoffs coming up, because right now I was actually checking here to make sure, but both of these teams control their destiny. And so to be able to see them getting ready for the playoffs here, man, you got to imagine what that first round, those first couple weeks are going to look like when these two teams have to step on the field. So
the other one is, Kirtland and Cuyahoga Heights. That's a really interesting matchup. Kirtland's going to run, And we've heard Cuyahoga Heights, and we've seen Cuyahoga Heights is pretty big and physical, but they will mix the pass in. So the adjustments at halftime are going to be really interesting. And if you remember last year, it came down to Kirtland not converting on a 4th down and Cuyahoga Heights stopping Kirtland on a 4th down and turning the ball over. And it was something ridiculous, like an 8-minute drive that yielded no points. So they drove the ball for almost the entire quarter, 2/3, 3/4 of the quarter, and didn't get any points.
This is such a great game for a lot of reasons. Obviously, there's the rivalry, but this is also the game going in that is going to be the most challenging game on your schedule. If you're Kirtland, the Cuyahoga Heights is going to be the toughest team you play, and vice versa. So, I mean, you're geared up for this game. You know that when you get to this game, this is going to mean everything. And, of course, Kirtland has been sitting on those 2 losses last year, including a loss in the playoffs. It'll be interesting. I like to see the contrast. Kirtland's going to run. Well, they kind of run that trick play, which is a pass. Well, has Tiger Laverty been sitting on a pass play just for Cuyahoga Heights? Because this is, even though different divisions now, nobody's going home after this game, this is kind of like a playoff game. This has a playoff feel, and if you lose to your rival, it's a little bit of a stain on your season, no matter how it finishes.
Yeah. And both of these two teams, make no mistake, they both have experience. But the Cuyahoga Heights I really want to focus on here because last year in the state final when they had to face Marion Local, I'm sure they remember that point when they were on that last drive and they couldn't be able to finish that and score it and even put themselves to try to win that game. So I'm pretty sure that they know that when they need to make stops, they know how to make stops. Same thing with Kirtland, but right now I wonder if we're ever going to go back to that point that they missed on earlier in the first half. But, obviously every point is going to have to count in this game, and you got to be able to try to convert these drives.
Well, another game that we are tracking, Menor and Euclid, both in the top 8 and both likely in the Division I, Region I playoffs. This one's about playoff positioning. Matt Gould is covering the game, and Matt files this report.
Everyone, this is Matt Gould for Friday Night Huddle in cleveland.com, coming from Jerome T. Osborne Stadium, where we are at halftime with Euclid up 22-21. And if you've seen the highlights so far, Drayvon Lindsay has been the show for the Panthers. 3 touchdown catches for the transfer from Garfield Heights. You might remember him. He was a standout as a sophomore last year for the Bulldogs. Here at Euclid now, and he is doing some major damage to that Menor secondary. I'll rattle off some stats for you. 6 catches, 175 yards. You probably saw all 3 touchdowns here on my Twitter feed, and he had another spectacular grab late in the half, but Euclid could not punch it in going downfield, got to about the 30 or so, looking for more. That's where we're at, 22-21 halftime. Of course, Euclid went for 2 on its first possession. Ronald Lees had a nice game rushing for the Panthers, 17 carries, 72 yards. Of course, Aubrey Shabazz, who is in for injured C.J. Hale at quarterback, he's had a nice night as well. An efficient 10 of 14 for 222 yards for the senior quarterback. Also a transfer. He was at Villangelo St. Joe's last year. So some new guys are making some big differences here for Euclid in this Greater Cleveland Conference title matchup. And as for Menor, in case you're wondering, Tadas Tatarunas, 7 of 13 for 129 yards at the half. Chris Edmond has picked it up as of late, 11 carries for 56 yards. In total, Mentor, 239 yards of offense. Euclid, 304 on the left arm of Aubrey Shabazz and the sure hands of Mr. Drayvon Lindsay. We'll be getting ready to go for the second half in a little bit. Thanks for watching. I'm Matt Gould for cleveland.com and Friday Night Huddle.
All right, so a 1-point lead for Euclid and Drayvon Lindsay getting it done with 3 touchdown receptions.
Yeah, and Euclid just showing that, again, we talked about the weapons. So you move Aubrey Shabazz to quarterback, got to have some folks step up on the outside, and that's what's happened there. Just still have that downfield passing attack. And when you have Ronald Lee, too, I mean, that helps. That guy has just put up video game numbers this season. This is a big game for Euclid. They haven't clinched yet, and they might still have a chance to maybe get a home playoff game, depending on how things shake out. And beating Menor would be a step in the right direction there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That would bump them up a spot or 2 for certain.
Yeah.
But yeah, if one of these teams can try to space themselves out here with the passing game, you know, we have a bunch of guys that they, you know, Minner and Euclid both have running backs that can be able to just stretch this game out, you know, down the stretch here. But right now the key is just trying to get a little bit of distance from their opponent right now. And also, you know, they want this title as well, and they want a good playoff spot as well. But yeah, heck of a game already so far.
You know, a lot of good games tonight. I mean, Perry is really hanging with Canton McKinley. McKinley scored late in the half to push it back to a 10-point lead. And then the Perry Panthers moving the ball effectively early in the third quarter. So they're trying to get it back in from that 10-point deficit. So a very good, an interesting matchup. Let's actually look into that game as a couple of quick first downs and a big run for Perry. So as we look in, it's now 2nd down and 8. And there is our man again running behind the pulling back that time. Is a nice run by Curtis Jaron. And that's that wing T, is you get the back out blocking, and there is a nice run.
That's what Perry's going to do. I mean, they're not going to get out of character. They've thrown it around a little bit in this game. They've thrown it around a little bit at the end of the half because time is running short. But they're going to be they're not going to play out of character. They're going to be who they are no matter the situation.
So there's another look at Curtis. And fighting forward and gets down near the 10-yard line. So Jaron Curtis, the workhorse. Baker, their quarterback, is also effective running the football as well. Max Baker was the kid that really did the damage in the state semifinals last year for the Perry Panthers. So Panthers, you know, they're winning the battle up front. They want to be in. They're at 2nd and 5. And wing T, if you get to 2nd and 7, 2nd and 5, you're in good shape. And there's another one of the misdirections. That time it's Richard Coleman, and he's inside the 5. See where they spot him down. He's close to the first down, and he did get it. It's 1st and goal.
Yeah, one point key player that I was looking for in this game during some of these plays is Josh Chandler, their linebacker for McKinley. You know, he's been a force for them, but lately he's been out because of a knee injury.
He's in there.
Yeah.
It's number 1.
Yeah.
They ran away from him.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Got upended on that play.
So 1st and goal from just outside the 5-yard line for the Panthers, trying to draw to within 3. Again, Perry trying to secure that 8th spot in Division I, Region 1. And there it is. There's the touchdown. Is carrying in is Jaron Curtis. So a point after away from being just a 3-point deficit is the Perry Panthers getting it done.
Yeah,
that's an impressive drive to start the third quarter, exactly what they needed. You know, Kent McKinley went down and scored with less than a minute left in the half, and that can sometimes be deflating. Panthers come right out with that first drive.
And, I mean, you nailed it. You get to 2nd and 5. You stay on schedule, or you stay ahead of schedule. And that allows you to continue to run that wing T, you know, run that misdirection. And here they are, 17-14, right back in the football game.
Yeah, I mean, that play is just a very good reason why we're talking about Perry in the playoffs right now. But just I think the one thing for me is just that considering that they had to move up a division from Division II to I this year, just how impressive how they've been able to handle that responsibility. So, yeah, Perry, I mean, right now they're closing in on the lead. McKinley's got to think now what are they going to do when they step on the field now. Curtis on Perry's side is helping them, but then you also got Curtis on the other side, a quarterback from McKinley, who's going to have to come up with an answer for the Bulldogs.
Well, another game that we are keeping our eye on, Bay taking on Revere. Rockets with a 21-7 lead in the third quarter, but Revere comes back. Klenowski to Holt, and he dives in. No signal yet. Everybody's signaling but the referee. There it is, there touchdown, 21-14.
Delayed response there.
You had to make sure.
Just checking everything out.
They were waiting for the iPad to come out, the Surface tablet to get a look at. Just kidding. 21-14.
Hanging around.
Yeah, seven points down now.
Yeah, the Minutemen coming into this game with a 2-6 record. it's highly unlikely that they might make the playoffs, but right now they're kind of fighting for that. They're trying to get that win at home tonight against the Rockets. But Bay, I'm sure they're going to have to sit back and say, okay, well, what do we have to do next to try to get some more points on the board? But Revere, just a good sign here in Week 9. Just see them be able to compete with the Rockets.
Yeah, I mean, they're not really going to be able to play spoiler necessarily. Bay is, right on path to make the playoffs and be in a good position in the playoffs. But if you can finish your season sitting at 2-6, finish with a couple wins to end the year, you can at least feel good about yourself going into the offseason.
Another game that we are tracking, Cuyahoga Heights and Kirtland. Kirtland with a 16-14 lead in the third quarter, and the Hornets offense back at it. Little double reverse, and Torek has it. Joey Torek running down the sidelines, and he steps out of an ankle tackle and into the end zone. But the Hornets missed the point after again. So it is 22-14. Stays a one-score game, and now a two-point conversion, touchdown and a two-point conversion were tied up for Cuyahoga Heights.
Dan, were you surprised by that? I mean, were you confused on that play?
They're always confused.
I had to double check. I was like,
the Hornet, that looked like a broken play. That really did.
It's always confusing watching the Hornets. You just are never sure who has the football. You got to have your binoculars out. You got to be on that football, or you're not going to know who has it.
Yeah, I mean, really, it looked kind of bunched up like they weren't on the same page, and they obviously knew that what they were doing, and that was by design. It was a double reverse, and Torek ends up with the 54-yard touchdown run that now makes it an 8-point Kirtland lead.
Yeah, and those extra points coming back to haunt the Hornets a little bit, because you could have been up 9. Now you're up 8.
You could have been up 10.
Could have been up 10, yeah.
Maybe 2.
That could make a difference here if Cuyahoga Heights has an opportunity to get this game tied.
So, again, Kirtland goes up by a score of 22-14 early in the third quarter. And, the bad news now for Cuyahoga Heights is if you don't score, if you don't keep up with Kirtland, they're just going to keep running the football. And then it becomes incumbent on your defense to stop them. It's not uncommon for Kirtland to put 7, 8, 9-minute drives together.
And then, they'll love to do that against their rival. Just bleed that clock, make that game short. The next thing you know, you look up, there's 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. You're still down 9 or 10 points.
Yeah, and we talked about it earlier. I'm sure that Kirtland came in this game, and even though they probably didn't want to talk about it, they knew that they lost twice last year to Cuyahoga Heights, and they did not want to take another loss in Week 9. So, right now Kirtland is doing what it needs to, but again, we're just wondering, are those points that are going to come back to them? Is that going to bite them later? And they should, be able to convert those.
So, first half of games, what do you find the most interesting? Which ones really have peaked you? There's a number of them in this one that are really kind of interesting. Dan,
we always do this. We always do this. You go right ahead, Dan.
Well, I mean, Lorraine Bedford has been a blast, right?
Absolutely.
Getting up and down, scoring a ton. Implications in that game, across the board. I think we don't talk a lot about, Region 2, but that's been a really entertaining game.
I think for me, I'm kind of a tossed-up, but right now I'm probably focused on this Greater Cleveland Conference matchup between Menor and Euclid. Euclid, considering the last couple of weeks they lost their quarterback, C.J. Hale, and then Aubrey Shabazz steps in and is leading the squad right now, and very I think that's probably the big one for me, and especially Euclid. I mean, just considering their history over the last few years, to be able to be in this position where you can lock up your title, that's a heck of a job by the Panthers. So I think that's probably right now the first half that's probably, caught my attention.
The game that surprises me somewhat is the Perry and Canton McKinley game. Now, I thought Perry would hang around a little bit. I didn't think they would make it as interesting as they are. The challenge with the wing tee is you can't simulate the speed at which they run it. And basically what that offense tries to do is it tries to get you to over pursue. And if you get out of your lane or miss your assignment by a little, it makes you pay with big runs repeatedly. And if they see you're overplaying to the right, they run to the left. And if you overplay to the left, they're going to move you a little further. So they just keep kind of moving the way they block you is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, they know how to run it. They've been doing it since, some of these guys have been doing it for years and years, but they've obviously been doing it this year since, the end of July, early August. These guys know what they're doing every single snap. If you're trying to simulate that in practice, you're not going to be able to.
No, that's why this offense is so successful, and that's why some of the, Valley Forge has gone to it, and they're still very young in it. But in Perry, they run it in their youth system. So they've been running it since they're 8 years old. So they really understand it, and that's what you need to do to have the success that Massillon Perry has done. Another game that we are keeping our eye on is the Parma-Rocky River game. Rocky River leading Parma 30-6, and that Pirate offense just trying to take some more. Finnegan to throw, rolls out, hit as he throws, and puts it right on the money as Sharp grabs it 18 yards for the touchdown. And Rocky River opening up a big lead on Parma as they lead 37-6. Pirates, pretty impressive pass there as Finnegan got hit as he threw and still put it right on target.
Rocky River's trying to fight for a playoff spot. I mean, right now they're on the bubble as well. They're playing behind a University School and a Bay Rockets team that we were just talking about earlier. So the Rockets need to pull off a win here. They probably need to win. Just need to win out the rest of these next couple of weeks here. But so far, great job for Rocky River right now, putting some more points on the board. But this is an important game for the Pirates.
If you're Rocky River, you've lost to 8-0 Buckeye, 8-0 Bay.
Good team, good
Lakeside,
team.
Lakeside is 4-4. That's their only other loss. So you've lost to only good teams. You can score a bunch of points. So, and like you said, I think they're 9th right now in Region 10. So they've got an opportunity to try and get into the playoffs, but they've got to win out against Parma and then Elyria Catholic, something they should, in theory, be able to do, and then you kind of see what happens.
Yeah, and some of the teams ahead of them, I mean, they're kind of in a good position right now where they are, and it's hard to kind of believe that they're going to probably lose their next couple of games here. We were talking about Bay, and we were talking about even Glenville, who was actually number 8 as well. But Rocky River, all they can do is just try to win as many games as hopefully something falls in their way.
And the good news here is you're playing up at least. You're playing a Division II team, so you get a little bit of a boost if you beat them, and then maybe Parma can help you out next week with a win. You're going to be dependent on other teams helping you, but at least give yourself a chance.
Well, we keep tracking the Cuyahoga Heights and Kirtland game as long touchdown run by Kirtland opened up an 8-point lead. Cuyahoga Heights with the football trying to answer. And Ryan Polk, little pump fake. Then he goes up top. Tyler Hughes, and they beat him behind. Touchdown, and a long touchdown at that. But Cuyahoga Heights misses the 2-point conversion after that 64-yard touchdown pass. So it remains a 22-20 lead third quarter. But that's huge for Cuyahoga Heights because it takes let's just pound the clock into submission running game out of the equation for Kirtland. They have to be concerned about putting points on the board, which is when Kirtland doesn't have to worry about putting points on the board, the clock seems to go by awfully quick.
So the question in situations like this is, should you have chased the points there? Or should you have taken that extra point, been down by 1? Chase the points, or should they kick?
I'm probably going to chase the points there. I'm probably going to chase the points, especially against a team that knows you so well that you guys play chess with each other. You probably see each other in the same grocery store. You're going to chase the points in this matchup. So, but we talked about it. I mean, this is going to be a tight game. So, I'm just really excited to see how this is going to play out in the end. So,
I think if you look at it, what's the difference between 1 and 2?
Yeah.
The challenge would be, if they kick the point after and make it, then it pushes it to 9. Do they go for 2? Because they've missed 2 now.
Yeah, they've had some issues.
They've missed 2-point afters. They have made a field goal, which that's kind of like, okay. But, that's – so, yeah, the other thing is you want to get in this game, I'm sure you probably feel like you can get in from 2 yards out and get the 2-point conversion. There's as good a chance as –
You're probably sitting on some 2-point plays that you think, okay, you know what, this is going to work against this team, and maybe it just didn't.
And I'm sure the coaches, Al Martin's got to be pretty excited. Hey, they were able to get a touchdown pass off by that many yards. So you know, if you need to pull something out of your back pocket, you know you have it with your quarterback there. So, but yeah, 2 points down. Got plenty of time to try to wrap this game up. So
let's switch gears for a minute. We're going to take a look as Euclid and Menor doing battle. A close game. We heard Matt Gould's report. And here is Aubrey Shabazz. Little reverse pivot, and he throws to Nick Rice, and he heads down the numbers and into the end zone for the touchdown. As Nick Rice, the touchdown reception. And Nick Rice is now the backup quarterback as well. So Euclid just keeps putting those backup quarterbacks in there as wide receivers, and they keep delivering. So 29-21, Euclid leading by 8. Let's check in as Bedford and Lorraine doing battle. You see Lorraine 34-26, and Bedford in the red zone. Wilkins, oh, he's going to get into the end zone. Let's see, no signal yet. It was pretty close.
He was getting stood up there.
Hey, he got in. He got in. Come on, give it to him.
How could you not see
And
those gloves?
he did get in, I believe.
How could you not see those gloves get across the end zone?
Making sure here. Yeah, they're spotting it for the point after. So 34-32, and it looks like the Bearcats will in fact go for 2. And trying to tie this thing up, third quarter.
It's big.
Climb all the way back into this game. I mean, if you're Bedford after the start you got off to.
So Stone and Wilkins are the backs. Direct snap, and Stone will lead the way for Wilkins, and that's easy. He made the 2-point conversion look easy there, and we're tied at 34. So that one shaping up to be a pretty good one coming down to the wire in the third quarter.
I think one of the things that I'm impressed by this position of the Bearcats right now is just being able to, you know, weather the storm in that early in the first half where you gave up a couple turnovers there. And now, look, you've tied up the game. And right now, Lorraine has probably got to sitting there thinking to themselves, what do we have to do next to be able to stop this team? Because it looks like they're on a roll.
Now, Aaron Stone, I mean, they list him at 5'10", 190. I don't know about that. He looks bigger. I mean, he bowled ahead for Kenny Wilkins there, lining Wilkins up for the direct snap. You know, he had a touchdown return against Maple Heights, a 93-yard touchdown return on defense, plays both ways. So he's kind of a key cog to that Bedford machine. Maybe doesn't get all the headlines because he's not running the ball as much as Wilkins, and he's not playing quarterback, but he's pretty important to what they do.
Yeah, I mean the Wilkins direct snaps, you know, that's just let's get an extra guy out blocking so that our main guy can have somebody leading them. That's good luck stopping that with Stone leading the way.
I mean, he made it look easy. He made that run look easy.
Yeah, you know, I'd be tempted to throw that in every once in a while because that'll draw people into the box, and then, you know, it gives your playmakers a little bit of space as well. So. You know, a nice job by the Bearcats. Things did not start out well as they turned the ball over inside the red zone, and then Lorraine scored, and then they threw a pick 6. And to get that back to even, all of a sudden Lorraine's got to be going, ooh.
Yeah, you know, it's essentially a scoreless game again. You're essentially back where you started. You've obviously been getting some stops defensively because you were down 20-8. So now you're back at 34 all. Now it's just a matter of, okay, give the ball back to Lorraine, get a stop, and now you can get yourself back in control. That's considering the start they got off to with the turnovers. You know, a fumble in the red zone and then a pick 6. Here you are at 34-34. Lots of time left in this football game.
Well, you mentioned in the red zone, Kirtland is back in the red zone. We've got a lot of scoring going on in Week 9. Kirtland trying to answer as they're actually inside the 10-yard line, 2nd down and 2 for the Hornets. And they are trying to push that lead back. That's stacked eye. And they go to the middle back, which is Jake Nybecker, and he doesn't get into the end zone, but it looks like he's got plenty for the first down. So 1st and goal from the 2-yard line, and you have to like Kirtland. Kirtland has to like this.
Four shots to get 2 yards.
This is playing right into what they do.
Yeah, and when they get in the red zone, they're just so difficult to defend. I feel like they've been in the red zone all night based off the highlights we've been watching.
Al Martin probably does too, the coach for Cuyahoga Heights. And no signal yet. And yes, he is in fact into the end zone for the touchdown. And that will push the lead to 28-20. Be interesting to see what the Hornets do. It looks like the field goal kicker has come out. The point after, looks like they're going to go for one and not for two.
Try to get it to 9 points, or maybe you go for two and make it a 10-point game. But like you said, it looked like they were going to kick the extra point.
I think the song of the night, and you can help me finish this statement, but the song is anything you can do,
I can do better.
Exactly. I mean, that's exactly what teams are doing right now. They're just exchanging with scores right now, and this Cuyahoga Heights and Kirtland game is not immune to that. So, you know, obviously it looks like Kirtland's going to go up a little bit further ahead, put some more points on the board. Now Cuyahoga Heights, you know, they need to make a few stops here down the stretch here.
And they did, in fact, get the point after, so it's 29-20, which makes it a two-score game. So makes sense to kick the point after.
Yeah. And again, you know, to go back to chasing points, you know, you do think about that decision a little bit to go for two instead of one. It's hindsight because they didn't get it, but you know, do think about that a little bit.
We are going to step aside and take a quick timeout as games are midway through that third quarter here in Week 9. We will follow them through the home stretch along with Dan Lobby and Nate Klein from cleveland.com. I'm Dave Bacon. You're watching Friday Night Huddle. We'll be right back.
This city, this club stands with you.
Danger from Mira!
What you live for lives here.
The volley, Kamara, yes!
Ohio's television home of Columbus Crew SC. Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum.
This is it. Your big break. Your one shot. Your only chance. There are two outcomes. Make history or be history.
The home of high school sports. Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum. Lives here. We are Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum. Every week, from the locker room to the pitch and everywhere in between, Access Crew SC is your ultimate inside look at the black and gold. Join Marissa Contebelli, Dwight Burgess, and Neil Sika for unmatched coverage, in-depth analysis, and exclusive talks with the players and coaches. This is your club. This is your access. Access Crew SC, Wednesdays on Spectrum Sports.
The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program has been recognizing students and teachers who shine both in and out of the classroom since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com and click on Supporting Education. Students in kindergarten through 12th grade are eligible to be academic all-stars. K through 12 teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible to be honored as the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Wednesday nights, get ready for kickoff with Spectrum Sports. High School Blitz Preview. The can't-miss show for all things high school football. We'll break down team news, the latest standings, and what to expect on the road to Canton. High School Blitz Preview. Wednesday nights at 7 on Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum.
Have you ever lived for something? Have you ever dreamt of something? Something more? Something special? Something bigger than yourself? Well, have you? This is what you live for!
The home of high school sports. Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum. Crew SC Match Day. Every match, 30 minutes before the kick. Delivering everything fans need to know. With live reports, unmatched analysis, club news, and more. After the game, stay here for Crew SC Post-Match. From the biggest moments to the road ahead, Crew SC Match Day and Crew SC Post-Match. Only on Spectrum Sports.
Welcome back to Friday Night Huddle as Week 9 in high school football is approaching the fourth quarter in most of the games, along with Dan Lobby from cleveland.com, Nate Klein from cleveland.com. I'm Dave Bacon, and guys, that touchdown by Kirtland, huge, because, again, it puts the pressure right back on Cuyahoga Heights, and if they don't score, it allows them to eat some more clock up, and that one's getting late in the third.
Yeah, you just want to keep answering and keep answering.
Yep.
And you know, Cuyahoga Heights, Kirtland knows what they're going to do every time they get the ball. They know exactly what they're going to do. And when they have the lead, it's even easier. And so now Cuyahoga Heights, it'll be interesting to see kind of how they attack Kirtland. That's a game, it's a little bit like the Bedford-Lorraine game. It's obviously not as high scoring, but it is just, you got the ball, you're going to score. Okay, we've got the ball, we're going to score. It's just a little slower pace than what those other two teams are playing.
Yeah, Cuyahoga Heights has the ability to be able to run the football, but Ryan Polk at quarterback, you know, he has 788 yards coming in passing this week. Coming into Week 9 with that many passing yards. So he has the ability to be able to help Cuyahoga Heights try to put up some points in a hurry. But, you know, as you know, Dave pointed out, we're getting to the fourth quarter, clock is ticking, and they need to be able to find answers soon.
Well, you know, another game that is going back and forth and is really interesting is that Perry game against Canton McKinley. That one's almost in the fourth quarter, and Perry is down 6, and they're in the red zone. So the Perry Panthers doing a nice job of answering and really hanging around trying to get the lead.
Yeah, and they've got the ball at the 1 yard line. They're going to let it go to the fourth quarter here. I mean, just a great job by them because it got out to McKinley, got off to a good start, but Perry stuck with it, held them to a field goal on a possession, forced some turnovers, and McKinley has made some mistakes, has had some costly penalties that have stopped some drives, and Perry is just hanging around. When you get to the fourth quarter at the 1 yard line with a chance to take the lead, you got a real shot to win that game and pull the upset, and this is a must-win for Perry.
And we can see why Perry has been able to hang in some of these games for so long, and that's because of their running back, Curtis, who had 4 TDs last week. So McKinley's coaching staff should have been able to see this tape and just say, we need to be able to shut this kid down in Week 9 so we can get a federal league title. But Curtis is a really big piece to this, and obviously, you know, if they're just a few bit plays away and they want to sting with their wing T offense, he's a big piece of that puzzle there. So
that's what makes Perry so hard, though. You know what you have to do. Yep. You know you got to stop. It's actually doing it against that wing T.
Back and forth games all over the area, and one of them is Menor and Euclid. And the Euclid Panthers, Aubrey Shabazz, the backup quarterback, has found a pretty good target in Drayvon Lindsay. Take a look at Lindsay. Oh, a little stiff arm, and then hops into the end zone for the touchdown. But the Menor Cardinals answer quickly as Chris Edmonds gets it and gets into the end zone. Chris Edmond with the touchdown. So Euclid now down 36-35 to the Menor Cardinals on that Chris Edmond touchdown run.
Well, first of all, I'm going to joke with Matt later on because I know he also fell for that offensive play as well. He was following Tatis for a second, then he caught up to Edmond there with the running play. But yeah, I mean, Menor, that's the way they're going to do it. They're going to have to kind of play some deceiving here with this Euclid defense to see if they can get to win tonight. So far, they're up ahead by 1 right now. We'll see what Euclid does to answer after that. So
Edmond has been really good for Menor. He's kind of brought that rushing attack to that offense, and that's when Menor's offense has always been at their best, when they've had a guy that they can pair with that passing attack and that spread attack to run the football, and Edmond has been able to do that. But Euclid, look, they were in a game like this a few weeks ago, with Solon. Solon came back and had to go back and forth after that. So this isn't someplace where Euclid and Aubrey Shabazz have not been. They know how to handle and win games like this.
And that was one of my concerns about the Panthers coming in, because they allowed so many points last week to Brunswick. I said, is the defense going to be able to put the brakes on and say, hey, look, you're not going to do this tonight, especially against the Menor Cardinals, who can put up quite a bit of offense. Right now, this is getting down to the stretch. Menor's been in these tight games as well. So we're just going to kind of just see who makes the play, as you were talking about earlier about some other teams.
There's a play by Curtis, Jaron Curtis, into the end zone to tie it early in the fourth quarter, point after coming. So Perry can take the lead if they get the point after conversion. The concerning part is cramping up. Well, he's been running all over the field.
Yeah,
so
I don't blame him.
Well, Curtis was limping like that, maybe back in the first half, after a couple plays. So, I'm just wondering, obviously you say cramps, I'm just hoping that's just the only thing. So,
I say that because he kind of ran to the sideline and grabbed water to kind of start hydrating.
So you see a penalty marker down. Now the question is if this personal foul on McKinley. Now the question is, can you take that and move it? Oh, so it's offsetting. You have an unsportsmanlike conduct and a personal foul. So you have to make the point after, and Perry's kicker has made the 2 that they've had so far. So that's a good thing.
And the personal fouls, we've kind of been keeping our eyes on this game throughout the night, and there's been a little back and forth. There's been some shoving, and there was a play on the sideline when there was a little bit of a late hit.
Caden Basham is the kicker, snap and setter good, and Basham drills it without. He's kicking it over the band. That landed in the trailer behind the tubas.
He's trying to land it in one of the tubas, I think. But
if he gets more points, maybe it's not a bad idea. But we've seen point afters kind of play into some of the things going on tonight. So the Perry Panthers, early fourth quarter, have the lead, and they win that, they'll get enough second-level points with an 8-win team. They'll be firmly in.
And we're going to be really busy tonight as these games get down to the stretch, because they could come out down to the final plays. So, but what's so interesting about this McKinley and Massillon Perry game, even though McKinley is ranked really high in the state rankings and also in among other polls in the state, this game was supposed to be in favor of McKinley winning by at least 11 points in this game. So obviously Perry is trying to say, look, hey, don't read the projections, because we're going to see what happens in week 9, how we handle this. So.
Euclid and Menor, those Cardinals, that offense, we call it quick strike, and we call it quick strike for a reason. They're back at it as Tadas Tatarunas, drops it into Logan Shea's arms for the touchdown. And Logan Shea is a guy that has started forever. He was a starting cornerback as a 9th grader. They need him on offense, and you see why. He grabs that, and now it's 43-35. But remember, Euclid has some guys that can score in a hurry as well. So this might be the first one to 60. As Euclid put up 78 last week. So
yeah, I wonder what Menor fans think when they go to like a game and it lasts like 2 hours. 2.5 hours. Like, what just happened? I can't imagine they've ever watched a game with their team that has lasted less than like 3 hours. They are always long. They're always fun to watch, but that one's going to be a shootout from here on out. And Todd Arunas has kind of relied on Logan Shea this season. He's been one of his go-to weapons, and those two guys have played a lot of football together.
And the one thing that's not is going to help Euclid is that they're on the road, and Menor is saying, look, if we have an opportunity to win this title at home in front of our fans, we're going to do it. And so right now Euclid has got to be able to kind of like drain out the audience and try to win this game out for the Panthers Nation.
Well, another game that we are tracking is the Bedford and Lorain game. Bryant Kaiser is that game and joins us on the phone. Bryant, what's going on with the Titans and the Bearcats?
Well, Wilkins has got his 5th touchdown run of the game. I think it's a little 15 yards out, and the Bedford leads 46-41, and they are going for 2. Quarterback rolls, fires, end zone, and 2-point conversion. Now they lead 48-41, about 5 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. So I guess the first one to 40 is gone, so maybe the first one to 60.
I'd stay with 60 because I don't think they're anywhere near done yet. So what's been the difference with Bedford? They fell behind early. What have you noticed that has enabled them to not only get back into this but take the lead?
Well, the way the people tackle it, they're gonna have a clinic at the end of this game because nobody's tackling, man. They running through arm tackles. I'm like up and down the field. Now when Ray will get the kickoff, they probably get in and score. So we're gonna have a heck of a battle. Hey, it's a battle now.
What has Lorain been able to do offensively, Bryant?
They're able to run the ball, and because Dower, he has 4 touchdowns, so it's a Wilkins and Dower show. Dower just had Wilkins with his 5th touchdown run. Now Dower gets the ball back, so it's a fun game to be at.
All right, Bryant Kaiser, we will obviously check back in with you. That one's probably not near the 4th quarter yet. They've put up a lot of points that were late getting to half. The question is, did you start Wilkins in your high school fantasy football team?
And did you start Dower? Did you start basically everybody
Drayvon
on those
Lindsay?
teams? Yeah, you name it.
No, I mean, these guys are really showing up in week 9. I mean, you can obviously tell that we're getting close to the playoffs now. I mean, these guys are, putting up a lot of touchdowns, putting up a lot of yards on the ground. But no, I mean, this is playoff atmosphere. I mean, this is what we're seeing. But Bedford, man, I mean, I know we're going to be talking about that until, we finish up for the night. But to be able to come back down, I believe we were talking about 20-8, 28-8, heck of a job by the Bearcats. And it all starts with just limiting those middle mistakes.
And we've talked a little bit about Kenneth Wilkins' 5 touchdowns, and Bryant said this is the last one, and there he is. Oh, breaks 1 tackle. That's 2. And then now he's just going to cut it outside. Nice block downfield to spring him into the end zone. And pretty good touchdown run by Wilkins, his 5th. And as Bryant mentioned, the 2-point conversion was good, so it is a 48-41 lead for Bedford. And I'm telling you, Bryant Kaiser hates defense. He just hates it.
We're going to have to do our 2 top 15s tonight. We're going to have to do top 15 plays and then top 15 plays from that game alone. I mean, we've seen just a bunch of highlights, and there was another one. He mentioned the tackling. Well, there was an example. I don't know if the defender was trying to strip the ball there.
To rip the ball. That's what it looked like.
Wilkins has been in the weight room apparently because he held onto the football, cut back, and got into the end zone.
Both teams are 7-1. I'm just, we were talking about just this playoff situation right now, and you're just getting hot right now. And it looks like right now, after those couple turnovers early in the game, Bedford is getting off to Bedford football again. So just hats off to the Bearcats for being able to take advantage right now of this. And nothing probably pleased more as a running back than when you could shed defenders as well. We should probably have a count of how many people touched him before he even scored. So.
Well, you know, the Perry Panthers held, and they get the ball back. So now they're going to start eating the clock.
And McKinley's been making mistakes. A lot of, like I said, penalties, turnovers, drop passes. Just a lot of little mental mistakes McKinley has made. Now they're set. They're in the playoffs. Obviously, they'd like to have a home game, which would maybe be in jeopardy if they lost this game. Perry is fighting for their playoff lives, trying to get a spot clinched in these final 2 weeks. But if you're McKinley, the last thing you want is 2 weeks before the playoffs start, making a bunch of mental errors, doing things that you just cannot do once you get into November.
And Sharon Curtis just ripped off a huge run again. So Perry, who really needs that, you know, that really will put them, if Perry can find a way to hang on and beat McKinley, that it doesn't lock up a playoff spot, but it comes pretty darn close. It ends most of the question of which 8 are going to be in, and you know, with what they will get second level points, barring something unforeseen, Solon's probably that 9th team.
Yeah, and I mean, Region 1 has shaken out so far where you might get 1 2-loss team in Jackson. After that, if you have 3 losses, you're out. It's going to be all unbeatens and 1-loss teams and maybe 1 2-loss team. That has been a very unforgiving region for teams that have lost multiple games.
And Perry, on the strength of a long Jaron Curtis run, is now inside the 5-yard line. Now, the question is, you know, are you given? You'd prefer a long, time-consuming drive because McKinley has the ability to strike quickly. It's 1st and goal, and Perry trying to push this lead to.
Well, you can see Curtis just limping back there.
He's limping. He had a huge run, and he's going to get into the end zone without any problem. Jaron Curtis into the end zone, and he's cramping is what
cramping
it is.
Up because he's been running after all of these touchdowns.
He had about a 60-yard run that set that up. So now 27-20, point after coming to make it an 8-point lead. Now the challenge here is McKinley has the ability to strike quickly, and if they keep it at 8, you know, it's still a 1-possession game. And if you're McKinley, that's what you're hanging your hat on. McKinley really hasn't been pushed a lot this year. You know, they're non-conference. You know, they beat up Hudson pretty severely. They haven't really had that many close games where teams have pushed them.
And they've had to face, you know, they had a lead in this game.
Right.
They've had a 2-score lead a few times in this game, and now they've completely given it up. Perry trying to take an 8-point lead here. This is a good test for them. They got Massillon next week and then into the postseason. So, again, they're going to sit down. Coach Reardon is going to sit down. He's going to watch this game, and he's going to point out, you guys made a bunch of mistakes. We can clean it up. This game turns out differently. And again, this game isn't over yet either. You know, it's only a 1-score game. You mentioned McKinley can strike quickly. But those mental errors are going to be something that I think Coach Reardon and his staff are going to point at and say, you've got to get these cleaned up before we go to Massillon and before we go into the playoffs.
And even though, you know, McKinley is sitting at 8-0 and has not lost a game this season, you know, they're going to, I'm sure that, you know, and there's only 10 minutes left, you know, to see what the outcome of this is going to be. If McKinley does lose this game, you know, they're going to have quite a bit to talk about and just see what did we do in this game that we didn't, you know, what did we do in previous games and not do in this game. So the Bulldogs, you know, right now they still got 10 minutes left to play. You kind of got a limping running back right now. Can you probably take advantage of that? Who knows? But yeah, the Bulldogs, I mean, if they want to win this Federal League title, you know, they need to be able to stop Perry.
Well, let's check in. Kirtland and Cuyahoga Heights, and Kirtland has opened up a 2-score lead as they lead 35-20. And Hornets have the ball just inside the 20-yard line. And as we say that, they call timeout. So that one has expanded from a 1-score to a 2-score game, and that's not where you want to be with the Kirtland Hornets, because you're going to get a heavy dose of Dylan Folco, the quarterback, running the ball, and Torek running the football, and the clock's going to go bye-bye real quick if you're Cuyahoga Heights.
And it's tough to get, like, you don't get turnovers off Kirtland because they don't throw the ball. You know, you might get a fumble here and there, but they're so good possessing the football. They don't put the ball in the air very often, so you don't have a chance to get interceptions, pick sixes, things like that. So if you're Cuyahoga Heights, you've got to somehow get off the field here. You can't go down 3 scores.
Well, let's check in with the Bedford and Lorraine game as Bedford leading 48-41 and Lorraine running the football. And a nice job to pick up about 6 yards by Dakota Mincy. Mincy had that pick 6 earlier in the game, and you see he picks up the first down. So the ball just outside the red zone at the 22-yard line. And power I formation, and now they will split Davian Dower out, and he lines up more as a tight end. And the fullback is Cairo Smith. And Cairo Smith gets the handoff. Breaking tackles, Cairo Smith running over people. And they're going to mark him down at the 1. Smith wanted the touchdown.
We
got to be careful with that.
We saw Smith stuff a run earlier
yeah, he did.
on defense. And, man, he was just bowling over guys there. I know he wants the ball again right now.
And you know Bedford's defense doesn't want to see 9 running over people because perfect compliment to Mincy and Dalen Dowler, rather. Sturgill keeps it, and he gets into the end zone. So a point after away from tying that one up.
On a 1-yard run.
So
and it is now
Sturgill a little hobbled there. So that's a concern if you are the Lorraine Titans, is your talented quarterback a little gingerly jogging off with that ankle, but point after away from tying that up at 48. First one to 60.
It was interesting. It looked like Lorraine was almost trying to slow the pace down a little bit on that drive, and then they get the big run out of their run stuffer, fullback, name the position, and then they score quickly, chance to tie the game up.
And the way this game started with Bedford and Lorraine, can you imagine us actually talking about Lorraine having to try to keep the Bedford offense off the field? And that's exactly, it sounds, looked like in those last few plays, that's what it looks like they were trying to do with the Bearcats offense. So, if that's what they're going to start doing, I guess we're going to see what happens. But Bedford, they're going to have to keep putting their foot on the gas in this game. So,
point after was good, so that game is tied at 48. They're putting up some points.
I believe it was still the third quarter.
It was. Again, that was late. That was substantially later than all the other games getting to halftime.
Yeah.
Just because of all the scoring that was going on. So both teams really need that. And Division I, Region 2, Lorraine hanging out in that bottom 4. They're not guaranteed of a playoff spot. Bedford in a little bit better shape. They were in the top 4 in Division 2, Region 5, but by no means a lock, and they obviously want a home playoff game. You don't want to head down the road, and you don't want to be number 8 in Division 2, Region 5, because that means you're looking at Hoban in Week 1. That will be no fun.
Well, yeah, the update we got from Hoban earlier from Mike Patika, no yards in the first half. Yeah. So no yards allowed in the first half. So
5 sacks, no yards allowed, 2 positive plays over 6 yards.
Yeah, you don't want to face that defense. You don't want to face that offensive line either, but you definitely don't want to face that defense.
Yeah, and the Knights are, similar to Perry, during that realignment, they also moved up a division after winning back-to-back state titles in Division 3. So just to be able to see Hoban in the position that they're in right now and commanding that region, they're clearly, like right now, a favorite, maybe even win another state title, but in a different division this year. So,
it's interesting. It's the first year of the competitive balance piece, and that's why so many teams were juggled around. And I think what happened to Perry is there were a number of teams that were bumped down out of Division I as some of the teams moved up, and that Perry kind of got caught in collateral and got moved up because of how many of the teams were actually shuffled in and out of Division I and II.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of how that plays out too. I think it makes Division I really challenging because teams get bumped up, and some of the smaller public schools in Division I maybe suffer a little bit as teams get bumped up. But it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out over the years.
Yeah, and the Perry Panthers are I'm impressed. I I thought they'd hang with them. I didn't think it would be nearly as close as it is, to be perfectly honest. So, you know, that's a heck of a job by Keith Wakefield and Perry to be in the situation they're at. That's by no means a done deal, and they haven't closed it out yet, but they're playing well.
Yeah, you fought back and you gave yourself a chance. McKinley driving now, trailing by 8. So, you know, maybe they get it together a little bit, and this may end up being good for McKinley. You know, win or lose, this could be a good thing for them because they've sort of been rolling along. You mentioned they haven't had a lot of close games. It's an opportunity to learn a little bit about yourself. You have to play Massillon. It's a home game for them, but that's a rivalry game, and then you go to the playoffs. This is a chance to maybe.
So Curtis throws, and it's complete inside the 10-yard line. A good job of spotting Lonnie Richardson-Parr. So that's a heck of a throw by Elijah Curtis. Curtis just a junior, and look at that. Goes to the secondary guy, drops it right in there. So 8 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter, you see. And it's inside the 10, so 1st and goal, trying to get into the end zone, and the 2-point conversion would tie it up, and there's Keyshawn Watson. So it'll be 2nd and goal from the 6. You know, if you're Perry, you just bleed the clock. You're now, I mean, really, it's too early to start thinking that way, but you want McKinley to be forced to take as much time as they can if they're going to score.
Yeah, it's 1st and goal here. You're obviously trying to hold them to a field goal, but if they are going to get a touchdown, you'd like it to take 3 or 4 plays.
Keep fighting. A little bit of a high snap, Watson, and he is swallowed up and brought down. A good job by the nose tackle, Kevin Miller, to grab him and bring him down. Looked like he had some space, but big number 65 plays off his block, and Kevin Miller just grabs him and brings him down. Nice job.
Yeah, and the more plays you make them run, the more opportunities there are for maybe a high snap like that. A nice job by Curtis to go up and get that ball.
So Curtis, and now nothing doing. Again, great defense by the Perry Panthers as Luke Millen, one of the men there, and also Sir Elliott, the linebacker. Love the name, Sir Elliott, the outside linebacker, 44.
Yeah, they
turned it back in.
Yeah, I mean, they just went on block. I mean, they were sitting right there in the backfield just waiting for them to make a decision who they want to get the ball to, and then they'll make that change there.
3rd and goal, and you see what this is doing is it's forcing, and we get a whistle. And what it's doing is it's eating into potential time that McKinley could have.
Yeah.
And it's going to cost them 5 more. So a false start. And again, Dan, you mentioned you're seeing some mistakes and some miscues from McKinley that you don't want to see with the playoffs 2 weeks away.
Yeah, this is stuff
concerning.
This is stuff you see in week 1, week 2. You don't want to see these mistakes in week 9. And now now you're at 3rd and goal, but you're all the way back at the 10-yard line all of a sudden.
And a field goal, I'm not sure you want to do that. So Curtis rolls out, and he gets the corner, and he's pushed out of bounds. 4th and goal and decision time. 6:19 remaining, and the danger is if you kick the field goal, you may not get the ball back.
Yeah, this is an interesting decision for the Bulldogs. They've got to figure out, do they think their defense can get a stop? How much do you trust your defense here?
Looks like the offense is staying on the field. So, again, if you miss it, it's not like it's game over. But here it is, 4th and goal. Curtis throws, incomplete. Were you going to get a flag?
Looked like he got there a little early.
McKinley fans want a flag. Don't think you're going to get it. I thought he got there a tad early, too, as that was Robbie Kirshner. And Prayer Wise, the intended receiver. Looked like he might have got there a little bit quick, but that's all right. That's fine. Now, 6:15 remaining, and 1 timeout is all McKinley has left. So that 1 timeout factors into it as well.
Yeah, so now Perry's going to be able to come out, and this is what Perry does, right? Run the football, run the clock. You know, that penalty, again, the penalty just kills you. You're inside the 5-yard line, and then you get a pre-snap penalty. And those things are just killer.
Well, and the other thing, it completely changes, you know, your thinking and your playbook. I mean, that's not like, oh, we're just back 5 yards. It's 4th and 3, and now it's 4th and 8, or 4th and 4 and 4th and 9. But it completely changes the dynamic of what you can do offensively.
Yeah, and we saw that. I mean, they had to throw the ball.
Yeah, and as much as we talked about the McKinley defense in the first 8 weeks of the season, tonight is going to be a night that they're going to have to show up in this drive here that Perry's going to put together and see if they can try to get the ball back or maybe even try to put some points on the board for the Bulldogs.
Let's check back in with Euclid and Mentor, and this one another wild one. And Elijah McDougall for Mentor dives into the end zone, and the Cardinals now leading 50-43.
So what we're seeing is Euclid is scoring, and then Mentor is scoring.
And then Euclid is scoring, and then Mentor is scoring. And then Euclid is scoring. And so that one, I got a feeling they're not done scoring there either yet.
Yeah, we might be talking about those games at 1 in the morning still. That one and the Lorraine-Bedford game.
Yeah, and just we were talking about McKinley and Perry, now Mentor and Euclid. I mean, these are all the same teams that are in the same region right now, so there's going to be a lot of questions on just how are these games going to finish out and where is everyone going to be able to finish getting ready to go into Week 10 and then moving ahead to the postseason, who's going to be able to get a spot in. So, but right now, a lot of points are being put up between Euclid and Mentor right now. We're going to see who makes a stop here.
That Region 1 bracket is going to be nuts.
And you're going to want to avoid St. Ed's and St. Ignatius.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about them because they don't play tonight. But you got those two big dogs sitting up at the top.
All right, well, Amherst and Avon is another game we're tracking. Dan Gillis is at that game and joins us. Dan, what's the deal with the Comets and the Eagles?
Well, Avon has clinched at least a share of the SWC or Southwestern Conference Championship for the second straight year. They won 35-7. Basically, it was 35-0 midway through the third quarter. Cue the running clock, and Amherst got a late touchdown with about 3 minutes to go on a fumble return for 55 yards by Greg Rhodes. Basically, to kind of salvage a little bit of a something for the Comets, but other than that, it was all Avon from start to finish. They pretty much dominated this game. They made a statement.
Were they, as advertised, one of the top teams in the state, you think, in Division II?
Absolutely. They had a little, like I said, they had a little bit of a scare last week in North Ridgeville, and they were gashed running the ball, or by the opposition running the ball, and they made a few adjustments this week in practice, and it showed. They really shut down Amherst's running game, took away their passing game. They basically offensively had a nice mix of the run and the pass. They like I said, they were pretty much head and shoulders above what Amherst was today, and I believe this kind of gets them back on track, gets them back to playing what they like to call Avon football. Now with they got Westlake next week. Obviously, that should be another one-sided affair. Set them up for the playoffs as a number 1 seed. I think they can go pretty far.
All right, we appreciate the update. Dan Gillis says Avon looking strong without question, and we've got a couple of interesting ones going on with Bedford and Lorraine, and then Canton McKinley held Perry, got a big punt return, and Canton McKinley back at it with about 3.5 left. So Perry and they also saved their timeout, did Canton McKinley. So and we go to it, and they are inside and on a 3rd and 4, it's going to be 4th down as Watson stopped short of the first down. A nice job defensively stacking that up for Perry.
This is a game about stops. This is proving it tonight.
Vinny Scurry plays off his blocker and shuts it down. So you see time remaining is just 2:40. Still one timeout for McKinley, 4th and 4. And they kind of dodged the bullet last time when they didn't convert on 4th down, did McKinley. Right now, not enough time really to do that again with the one timeout. They took about 3 minutes off the clock, did Perry, and they're going to be forced to use that last timeout.
Perry is actually the one calling it, I think.
Lear, I think you're right.
So that'll be good. That's good for McKinley. But they took a lot of time off the clock before that play. I think they're approaching this like we were just talking about. This is the possession where they've got to tie this game up. If they give the ball back to Perry, you're talking 1 first down wins the game, and maybe at this point, you might not even need that.
Yeah, you still do have the timeout, so you probably need.
Yeah, if you hang on to that timeout, it'll help you.
Again, it all depends on how quickly the ball gets spotted and those kind of things. But Perry Panthers, that is the surprise so far if they can hang on and pull that one out.
Yeah, and last week the upset game that we were talking about was the Ignatius and Moeller game, and we're kind of wondering about this one. Is this going to be the upset game for the night? And obviously, everyone's playing for a little bit of something, whether it's a conference or a league title or some sort of playoff position. So, Perry's just showing it off tonight. So.
Yeah, and, packed house at Perry again, trying to see if the Panthers can come up with that stand, the 4th down. And here we go to it as it's 4th and 4. Ball at the 16. And there's the quick pass, and it's off the mark. Incomplete. Man was open. Prayer-Wise was open, and Curtis just missed him.
Seems like
so it goes over on downs, 2:19. And the Perry faithful, the pink out for breast cancer awareness, feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah, tough play, and we're actually getting a look at it here. It just looks like the two weren't on the same page.
Yeah,
the timing was just off, and so now you got the timeout.
He was open and had the cushion to get the first down.
It was there, and that's frustrating.
He's got to put that. That's got to be on the numbers. That should be a first down.
Yeah, and Curtis, it looked like he did. He really didn't need to look like he didn't need to rush that pass. But I guess just obviously with the communication that they have, I felt like I guess he thought he had to release it as soon as he could. But it looked like he wasn't too much of a rush. It looked like Perry was trying to just seeing what was going to happen with the play. So.
Yeah. So got to use your timeout. First down. Get a stop. Get the ball back. You're not going to have a ton of time left.
Nope.
Especially if Perry gets a good punt off.
Now, the one thing is Keyshawn Watson had a great punt return. He almost broke. He was a tackle away from getting that into the end zone as far as the punt return goes. So, but he still hasn't used the timeout on first down. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do it.
And with Perry, they're going to run the ball. They're going to make him use that timeout eventually. I'd imagine they're going to use it after probably 3rd down. But this thing's going to be close to a minute before it gets snapped on 3rd down. And that, oh boy. We're watching the game here as we're talking about it. The ball got fumbled out of bounds. It's going to stay with Perry. And he might have reached the first down before the fumble.
And it's Jaron Curtis, the guy who's been so good and so tough running the football for him. And, the Kirtland and Cuyahoga Heights game, Cuyahoga Heights is trying to, and they throw into the corner of the end zone, touchdown, and it's Dylan Drummond who goes up and grabs it. What a grab by Drummond. I was trying to make sure it was Dylan. The 6', 170-pound wide receiver goes up and grabs Ryan Polk's
still plenty of time in the game here.
So he makes that great catch. Now he's got to go kick the extra
third quarter. It's actually in the 4th quarter.
Oh.
So trying to cut this would still be an 8-point game if he converts this. It'd be a touchdown, 2-point conversion away from tying it up, and he does make it. So it is a 1-possession game there, and that is in the 4th quarter. So. That's that one tightens up a little bit.
Yeah, keeping it close. And when you have a guy like that, Division I recruit,
go
Makes
to
a really
him.
nice catch
Yeah.
on the sideline. That's what you expect out of a guy like that, and Kyle Height's hanging around.
You know, he's had a touchdown catch earlier in the game on a really nice pattern where they kind of isolated him. That's what they're doing. Okay, again, I've got a 6'2" guy that's really athletic. I think he's more athletic than anybody. Let's head back to the phones. Mike Patika is covering the Hoban NDCL game. And, Mike, how did the Knights finish this one off?
Hoban wins 42. They held the Lions' offense to 5 total yards. Actually, the NDCL defense didn't play too bad, but Hoban got 3 of its touchdowns on 1 total yard of offense, thanks to a punt return, a fumble recovery return, and a block punt. But Hoban showed a lot on offense. Quarterback Shane Ham was able to get it done with the passing game when needed. Connected 5 times with for 107 yards, and Tyrus Dickerson had about 110 yards rushing. So Hoban, 2-time defending state champion in Division III, primed to make a run in Division II this.
Mike, were they as impressive as the numbers bear out? Is this the football team that you saw tonight? You think they're poised to make a pretty big run?
Yes. Very good in the game. You know, their athleticism across the board, both sides of the football, was really impressive. They have a free safety, Matthew Salopek, who moved up to outside linebacker for this game. Theodore Madden's off the package. Salopek gets 5 of their 8 quarterback sacks. Notre Dame's a good team. You could see that, but this was just an overwhelming by Hoban.
Mike Patika, we appreciate the coverage of Hoban improving to 8-1 as they beat NDCL 42-0, and it has gone final. The Perry Panthers pull off the upset and hand Canton McKinley their first loss of the season. So the Perry Panthers likely going to be part of that Division I, Region I playoff party, and heck of a win. That's a really good win for Perry.
Yeah, it's just they had to come from behind. It's just really impressive. And they do what they need to do on that final drive. They get the first down, and McKinley, they were hoping to get that ball spotted on that final play before the clock went under 25, but it didn't happen, and they had to watch time just sort of bleed away.
Another close game that's going on, Lorraine and Bedford. Lorraine down 6, but the Titans are on the move, and they are actually at the 15-yard line of Bedford. 1st and 10. 54-48, so it is not the first one to 50, as down 6, and now you see clock running, and you can see offensive players are kind of gassed probably on both sides.
Tired.
I formation behind Sturgill, and they give it to Dalen Dower. Dower, little forearm, and brought down. Nice tackle, and it looks like the defender is shaken up as John Law went down, and that will stop the clock, and we're going to step aside there as they attend to the shaken up player. But Lorraine inside the red zone will be second down from about the 12, 13-yard line.
Yeah, I mean, this game is living up to the hype of what it is, and just we took a quick look here. It looked like number 7 jumped up. He looked like he's okay, continue to play. But yeah, I mean, Bedford right now, and they need to try to be able to make a stop here against the Titans.
And there's Dower again, and fights forward. Going to be a little bit short of that first down. Will be 3rd down and 2 or 3. Nice play on the inside defensively, is making sure that he did not get the first down was Brian Kirk from his defensive tackle position. Kind of hopped on there. They need to get to the 6, so it's going to be 3rd down and 4. And you're likely in 4-down territory, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I don't think you're kicking many field goals in this football game at this point. I think you're trying to cross that goal line every time you have the football.
Field goals They're allergic to field goals. Brian Kaiser doesn't like defense, and he hates field goals. So I formation behind Sturgill. And there's Cairo Curtis. And, close. Smith, rather. Cairo Smith. Everybody's named Curtis tonight. 4th down, so he's a little short.
I mean, you can just see, like, guys are just slow to get up. And just, I mean, this game is wearing guys out.
Well, they've put over 100 points on the board. So it's a long yard, almost 2. Offense, in fact, stays on the field. So Smith is the fullback. And the deep back is Dalen Dower. He gets the pitch. Smith leading the way. Close to the first down. He got it as he gets inside of the 5 with that second effort. So nice fight by Dalen Dower. Picks up the first down. And Dalen Dower is just a sophomore, guys. So this is the lead horse back for the Titans is a 10th grader. And right now, Lorraine trying to punch it in the end zone. And would be a point after away from taking a lead in this football game that has just been back and forth all game long. So a little bit of a different formation as they spread it out a little bit more, do the Titans. So now Smith gets the handoff, spins, and knocked down, but gets down to the 2.
That is a big dude to have to try and bring down. And you know, I mean, you can just tell he wants the football. He gets up, he's talking, he wants the football, he wants to hit somebody.
5'10", 220 is Cairo Smith. He gets it again, following the center right up the middle. He's going to be about a yard short, maybe a half a yard short. 3rd and goal. So Titans probably figuring we got 2 more chances to push this into the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, you got tired defenders.
And then we get a timeout. Just over 5 minutes remaining in this. So 2 down territory, likely. I'm guessing you're not going to put 3 on the board. You're going to field goals don't add up when you've scored over 100 points in the game.
If you're the kicker, just have a seat. Hopefully you play another position. Hopefully you're not just the kicker.
We'll call you when we need a point after.
So we'll call you next Friday.
But, you know, both of these teams, it's kind of been punch, counter, punch, answer, punch, counter, punch, answer. So it's kind of what you get when you get to this level, and both teams have 1 loss on the year. So Lorraine trying to find a way to put it in the end zone, get the point after, and take the lead with, you know, under 5 minutes remaining in the game.
Yeah, I mean, the theme of the night has just been playing chess match with each other. In this Lorraine-Bedford game, I mean, they're obviously doing it in this game too. But, you know, assuming that Lorraine go ahead and put some points on the board, now Bedford's got to think, okay, you know, can our quick strike offense try to get up the field and try to see if we can try to win this game.
So here we go. It's 3rd and goal from the 1. So Sturgill kind of looking over the defense. Dower is the deep back. Curtis leading the way. He stopped. A nice job. Good penetration. Smith leading the way, but it was Jalen Smith, number 5, who knifed into the backfield and made the tackle. So a nice job. They spot the ball back at the 1.
It's a little bit of a basketball time out there on that play. Maybe get the defense a breather, give them a couple minutes to catch their breath.
So it's 4th and goal from the 1, under 5 minutes remaining in this one. So Sturgill pitches it. Dower hit. Does he get in? Wilkins. There was a collision. And he,
oh my goodness.
Wilkins
wow. Acting like he stopped him. I didn't see a signal.
It looks like they, I mean,
they said he stopped him.
Like they did.
Yeah?
Woo. Wilkins doing everything.
Top play, top play, top play.
So those are 2 big men looking at it. Here's the thing. I don't think the ball ever got in.
Stopped him.
I think he
did
did
I was looking
too.
to see where his feet backward.
His feet were, he was running a little behind the ball. So,
wow.
Let's see now. Now the Bearcats.
Oh,
they
no.
fumbled. Oh, he fumbled the snap.
Oh, oh my goodness. Green jersey's coming up with it.
The center ended up rolling out with it.
Oh, second down. Ooh.
As it was T1 Hill rolled out and grabbed it. But now it's second down, ball at the 1.
So there you go. I mean,
4
they're having
minutes
trouble with
remaining.
that exchange.
So, this is, wow. So, I formation behind him. Wilkins is the deep back, the man that just made that stop. He's going to get the handoff, and he's knocked down at about the 6.
The running backs there just meeting up right there.
So it's going to be third down and 4. We're going to step aside from this one, and let's join Spencer Davies. And he's going to join us on the phone. Spencer, what's going on at the Bay Revere game?
Bay won 28-17, and it was actually a pretty hard-fought game there towards the end, but just too much trape soda for Revere to overcome.
As you look at it, how impressive was Bay? Tell me a little bit about their defense as well, Spencer.
Defense was fine. There was kind of a bit of bend, don't break feel to it. Revere was able to get some yardage off of them. Nate Klinowski had a couple solid gains once he started to find some room in the passing game and had some nice runs to the outside, just being some quarterback carries. And then obviously Matt Buser gave him a solid effort, 17 rushes and 80 yards for the Minutemen. But Bay, it seemed that it was just a bend, don't break type of thing.
Spencer Pisota, Trey Pisota. How impressive was he running the football tonight for the Rockets?
I think that's the thing that opened my eyes the most. This kid's tough to take down. I'll tell you what, it was kind of an old school type of feel to the way that he runs the ball. He's got enough speed, but man, is he powerful. And he was breaking tackles left and right tonight, and he sealed the game with a 52-yard carry midfield. So that really ended it for him.
All right, Spencer Davies, we appreciate it as he wraps up the Bay Revere game, and Pisota, one of the big backs, getting it done. And, the Bedford-Lorraine game is also kind of winding down, and, Lorraine trying to get the football back as they were inside of 4 minutes remaining in that. And, the Bearcats doing a nice job to continue to fight, and that play at the goal line, heck of a play defensively.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about that between now and before we close tonight of just how big that play was for the Bedford Bearcats by Wilkins there, and who should be tonight be celebrating over 1,000 yards tonight. So, but Wilkins, man, what a great play right there at the end zone right there.
Yeah, has had some touchdown runs that we've seen as well. So a big night for Kenneth Wilkins, kind of finding a way to affect things on both sides of the ball, which huge for Sean Williams and the Bedford Bearcats.
And that that looked like the perfect play call. You got a little pitch. You'd been running up the middle. You get a pitch out. There's room to run. And sometimes when somebody makes a perfect play call, somebody's got to step up and make a big play. And that's what Wilkins has done. And that's what he's done for this team all season long, whether it's running the ball defensively. And he was huge on that play. And the other thing he did was he got them out from their own end zone, because they almost turned the ball over.
Yep.
And then they turn and hand it to Wilkins, and he gets them out of the shadow of their end zone, and now they have some room to work with.
And we talked about it, and fans have talked so much about this Bedford offense and how well they've done, but just to be able to hang their hat on that defensive stop tonight, man, that's going to speak a lot of volumes as the regular season wraps up here, and if they could possibly even win this Lake Erie title tonight.
All those points in the play we're going to talk about is a defensive play.
So,
isn't that sometimes how it goes in these games? Yeah. It's just that one defensive play is the one that stands out.
You don't have to make a ton of them. You have to make the one at the right time. And, right now, at least, with 3 minutes left in the game, Kenneth Wilkins made the play. We're going to step aside and take a quick timeout. It's Friday Night Huddle here on cleveland.com with Dan Lobby and Nate Klein. I'm Dave Bacon.
This city, this club stands with you.
Danger from Mira!
What you live for lives here.
The volley, Kamara, yes!
Ohio's television home of Columbus Crew SC. Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum.
This is it. Your big break. Your one shot. Your only chance. There are two outcomes. Make history or be history.
The home of high school sports. Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum. Lives here. We are Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum. Every week, from the locker room to the pitch and everywhere in between, Access Crew SC is your ultimate inside look at the black and gold. Join Marissa Contepelli, Dwight Burgess, and Neil Sika for unmatched coverage, in-depth analysis, and exclusive talks with the players and coaches. This is your club. This is your access. Access Crew SC, Wednesdays on Spectrum Sports.
The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program has been recognizing students and teachers who shine both in and out of the classroom since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com and click on Supporting Education. Students in kindergarten through 12th grade are eligible to be academic all-stars. K through 12 teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible to be honored as the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Wednesday nights, get ready for kickoff with Spectrum Sports. High School Blitz Preview. The can't-miss show for all things high school football. We'll break down team news, the latest standings, and what to expect on the road to Canton. High School Blitz Preview. Wednesday nights at 7 on Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum.
Have you ever lived for something? Have you ever dreamt of something? Something more? Something special? Something bigger than yourself? Well, have you? This is what you live for!
The home of high school sports. Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum. Crew SC Match Day. Every match, 30 minutes before the kick. Delivering everything fans need to know. With live reports, unmatched analysis, club news, and more. After the game, stay here for Crew SC Post-Match. From the biggest moments to the road ahead, Crew SC Match Day and Crew SC Post-Match. Only on Spectrum Sports.
There were some crazy goings-on in Week 9 of high school football. That means there's a lot of plays we got to look at one more time. The top plays, the top 15 from Week 9 of high school football all across the Buckeye State. We begin number 15 Thursday night in the Dayton area. Carlisle's DJ Chambers outside, then down the sidelines. 34 yards from the touchdown. We'll have a little bit more on this game a little bit later.
Number 14, we're going to have a lot from this game, and we're going to have a lot from this guy, Kenneth Wilkins of Bedford, the 25-yard touchdown run. Bedford rolled in this game. Like I said, more from him and his team and this game as we go along.
At number 13, Rocky River's Michael Finnegan to William Sharp for the 18-yard touchdown pass. Take a look at this by the Pirates. Touchdown. Rocky River won 44-6 against Parma.
Number 12, Bay's Trey Pasoda. The handoff. Oh, bounces it outside. Then he shows a little bit of speed. 37 yards for the touchdown. Bay goes to 9-0, 28-17. They win it.
Number 11, a little defense. It's Lorraine's Dakota Mincy. He's going to get the pick, and then he's going to go get the 6. Lorraine jumped out to a big lead thanks to this, but they couldn't hang on.
Now take a look at this. Cuyahoga Heights' Ryan Polk to Tyler Hughes for the 64-yard touchdown pass. Look at him haul that in there. But Cuyahoga has fell. Kirtland 42-34.
Number 9, Eaton's Chip Parker. Oh, bad snap, but fumble. Chip Parker grabs it, and then nobody's going to catch him. Parker takes it all the way back for the touchdown, but Carlisle won 28-20.
Number 8, Westerville Central's Alan Smith. 43 yards on this touchdown run. We'll have more from this game later. Westerville Central was a winner last night.
The official almost got ran over on that play here. All right, number 7, Cuyahoga Heights' Lucas Durazio with the 47-yard touchdown run. Look at him. Nobody's going to catch him for this one. Kirtland went on to win the game, though.
Number 6, Euclid's Aubrey Shabazz finds Drayvon Lindsay. Oh, nice pass. 46 yards. Menor won this one 61-59. Yikes.
Number 5, back to that Kirtland-Cuyahoga Heights game. It's going to be Kirtland's Joey Torek, the 58-yard touchdown run as Kirtland gets revenge from 2 losses a season ago. 42-34 winners over their rival.
Number 4, you saw him score early. Check out Kenneth Williams, this time with the stop. Bam! Take a look at that.
Goodness.
Oh! Bedford won 54-48 with the help of Kenneth Wilkins.
Our top 3 mentors. Tadas Tatarunas to Luke Floria. Oh, drops it in the breadbasket. 72 yards for the touchdown. Menor won by 2, and they scored a lot.
Number 2, guess who? Kenneth Wilkins again. 15 yards on this touchdown. What? There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. Cut back, gets a block, in the end zone, 15 yards. What a night for Kenneth Wilkins. I don't know if we're going to put all his votes together or what.
Well, but at number 1 here, his teammate, DeCarlene Townsend with a 60-yard TD run. Look at him with his hands, the stiff arm. I think that was 1. Oh, there's another one. He's not holding on. He said, gotta go. He's going to the end zone. Touchdown, Bedford. Bedford went on to win that game. 54-48.
So Bryant Kaiser, who is always at these crazy games, was at that game, and he joins us via the phone. Bryant, first one to 50 didn't work, but close.
Hey, you need to add the Wilkins stop on that 4th and 1 when he stopped Dowder on that 4th and 1, 4th and goal line play. I mean, that was the key right there. Even though he had 6 touchdowns, that on defense, that was a classic tackle on 4th and 1. He's the only guy that's going to make that tackle right there.
He got ahead of steam going and made sure that Dower did not get into the end zone, and that's actually one of our top plays that we just saw.
All right, I'm going to try to get head coach Sean Williams in here to get a chance to get a chat with him. So where's the head coach? Was Sean Williams going? Okay.
All right. He's going to go track him down.
Well,
okay, here, I got him.
All right. Coach. Hey, Coach.
David Bacon on.
How you doing,
Hello,
Coach?
how you doing?
How you doing, Coach?
Very good.
Hey.
Very good.
Tell me a little bit about what goes through your mind when Kenneth makes that play at the goal line. That's a heck of a play.
I mean, that's the things that we expect from Kenny Wilkins. That's what he does. That's what he's been doing for us all year. In practice, he does amazing things. I mean, and that's why we've got it's just amazing having a guy like that on the field. But when he comes through and makes the plays that he makes, but if you've been following us all year, this is what he does week in and week out. Week in and week out, he's a great player. He's a great player, but we played a great team today in Lorraine. But when you see a guy like that make a play like that, all I can say is wow.
Yeah, we're going to take one more look at it. We've seen it a number of times. We're rolling it right now. And that's how you play linebacker. Filled the hole. He filled it with intentions of making sure that that man stayed out of the end zone, and that's exactly what he did. How proud are you of your guys, given the way that game started? Obviously didn't start the way you or any coach would want it to, and you stuck with it, and you did what you needed to do to get the win.
It's just believing in the guys, man. I'm super hard on these dudes week in and week out, day in and day out. I expect so much from them as players, and I push them so hard. The coaches do a great job. Coach Bodiker, phenomenal coach. The whole staff, I mean, I can't say so much being from Bedford, playing here and not coming back and being a head coach. This is an amazing thing for these guys to be champs every day.
Coach, when you're in a game like this and, you know, offenses are just going back and forth, what is your message to your defense? Is it just figure out a way to go make that one play like Wilkins did?
Make the play. I drew the stuff on the board and told them simply, here's the game plan. Johns and Joes, you got to make the play. And that's all that we had too many people tapping on the chest early in the game at the beginning. And that's what we can't do. We got to make plays. And that's what they were able to do, is come out and pull together and make plays. Come on now. Come on now.
Hey, Sean, how big of a win is this for your guys? Just the adversity that you faced, the quality of the opponent. I mean, that's a nice win.
I'm sorry.
How big of a win is it?
Oh, I mean, this is huge. This is huge for us to be LEL champs. That was our number one goal. First, to start off to be conference champs. We can move from there, you know. But one thing, we got to set one goal at a time and take it step by step. And, you know, step by step, and this was goal number one. We can move from here.
What do you tell your guys? What are you going to tell them? What did you tell them? What are you going to tell them?
When you play together, this is what happens. You're playing together. You're playing for each other. This is what happens when you do that.
All right, Sean Williams, congratulations. Great win. We appreciate it. Go celebrate it with your guys.
Thank you.
Sean Williams, obviously a happy head coach. Let's check in with Jeff Sabo. He was at the Hudson-Twinsburg game. Jeff, what happened with the Tigers and the Explorers?
Well, it was a stalemate in the third quarter. However, fourth quarter, Kevin Callahan, he ended up going in for a touchdown from 6 yards out. And Grant Gagne, he had a 31-yard field goal, which would give Hudson a 27-17 lead. And that Hudson defense, they really stepped up at certain times in that fourth quarter. They were intercepting passes. They were stopping Cameron McLean. They were shutting down the entire passing game that Twinsburg had. And as a result, the Hudson Explorers ended up walking away with a 27-17 victory.
Jeff, the defense for Hudson, what they do? Did you notice anything different in the second half that they did?
Something that they really did a better job of was really stopping Cameron McLean, the running back for the Twinsburg Tigers, in that second half. In the first half, Cameron was able to get at least 5 or 6 yards just about every time he touched the ball. In the second half, just about every time they ran the ball to him, he was usually stopped very early on, either right at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage. So the Hudson defense really changed it up from that aspect. And they were really doing a much better job covering those wide receivers for Twinsburg as well. In the first half, the Twinsburg wide receivers really doing a great job of getting open and really creating opportunities. However, in that second half, that secondary for the Explorers really shut down the entire Twinsburg passing game. And as a result, it really helped the Explorers maintain that lead once they regained it.
All right, Jeff Sabo, we appreciate the coverage of Hudson defeating Twinsburg, and that likely puts Hudson in the Division II Region 5 playoffs. They got a tough one, though. They get to face unbeaten Wadsworth in their senior night game next week. So
yeah, this was the definition of a must-win for Hudson, because we've talked about Wadsworth on this show over and over again, how good of a football team that is. And you didn't want to go into that game feeling like if you win, you're in. If you lose, you're out, because there's a very good chance when you play Wadsworth, you're not going to come out on top.
So they do a nice job. Tie game at half. They scored 10 in the second half. They win 27-20. You have to be really shift gears a little bit. You have to be really impressed with Menor, just the way they kind of hung. Every time it looked like Euclid was going to swing and extend it, Menor came right back. And also with Bedford, don't underestimate. That's a really good football team in Lorraine that Bedford really just beat.
Yeah, and just in hearing some of these recaps from tonight, I'm just looking at just how these playoff situations are going to happen. I mean, we were talking about Menor. Menor looks like they're in good position right now. Euclid's going to kind of maybe have a couple questions coming in. And then Bedford, we were just talking about, they're right behind Hudson. So they could have obviously used the Hudson loss in this situation if they wanted to try to get a home playoff spot. But Bedford, I mean, you got to feel pretty good at just about, if you're thinking about being hot at a particular time in the season going into the postseason, this is a great time. And then obviously, apparently, I haven't seen too much of Kenny Wilkins to say, oh, he's been doing this every game like Coach said. But I mean, just a heck of a performance down the stretch there to help pull that win off and also wrap up the Lake Erie title.
The thing about Bedford, too, is you want to avoid that 8 seed. You don't want to have Hoban. In fact,
you really want to avoid the 4 seed, too.
Yeah, you don't want to be 4 or 5 either. You'd love to be 2, 3, 6, 7.
Yeah, you want Hoban in the regional final if you can get him there.
Yeah, but if you can avoid that 8 seed and avoid Hoban in the first round, that would be ideal. And this win goes a long way towards propelling them towards that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Hoban with that shutout from NDCL, and it sounded like they had about 50 yards of total offense. So that's not a bad football team that they pretty much dismantled tonight.
Yeah, I mean, they're beating really good teams. I mean, their only loss is to St. Ignatius, and they probably played St. Ignatius as tough as anyone has all season. That defense, that offensive line, it's all equipped to make their freshman quarterback feel comfortable. They have a great running game. As usual, Hoban is just the complete package, and good luck to anyone that has to play them in the Division II regionals.
Well, we are going to take one more timeout here on Friday Night Huddle, Week 9 of the regular season. When we come back, we will wrap things up and look ahead to Week 10, along with Dan Lobby and Nate Klein from cleveland.com. I'm Dave Bacon. Friday Night Huddle. We'll be right back.
this city, this club, stands with you.
Danger from Mira!
What you live for lives here.
The volley, Kamara, yes!
Ohio's television home of Columbus Crew SC. Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum.
Have you ever lived for something? Have you ever dreamt of something? Something more? Something special? Something bigger than yourself? Well, have you? This is what you live for!
The home of high school sports. Spectrum Sports, exclusively on Spectrum.
The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program has been recognizing students and teachers who shine both in and out of the classroom since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com and click on Supporting Education. Students in kindergarten through 12th grade are eligible to be academic all-stars. K through 12 teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible to be honored as the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Wednesday nights, get ready for kickoff with Spectrum Sports. High School Blitz Preview. The can't-miss show for all things high school football. We'll break down team news, the latest standings, and what to expect on the road to Canton. High School Blitz Preview. Wednesday nights at 7 on Spectrum Sports. Exclusively on Spectrum.
Welcome back to Friday Night Huddle. We wrap up Week 9. We saw the Perry Panthers upset the Canton-McKinley Bulldogs. Ryan Isley was covering the game. Ryan, I was impressed by the Panthers, particularly the defense. What really stood out to you about this one?
Yeah, I agree. I think the defense, especially in the second half, when they came out trailing 17-7 after 24 minutes to play, came out, gave up just 3 points in the second half. And while their defense was only giving up 3, the offense was going out and scoring 21. We all know how Perry runs the football, and tonight was a display of that. They handed the ball to Jaron Curtis and just let him do his thing. Besides the 4 touchdown runs, he also had probably 3 or 4 big runs of 20 yards plus that set those touchdown runs up. So it was a very, very good game for Jaron Curtis tonight for Perry.
Ryan, on the other side, it looked like McKinley made some costly mistakes, had some penalties, some drops. Just kind of overall, what did you think of their performance?
I thought a lot of it was self-inflicted. You hit it on the head. They had a couple of penalties, not a lot of penalties, but a couple of them that were key, and then the drops. They had multiple drops tonight on passes that were wide open. And not only was the pass wide open, but if the receiver catches it, he has plenty of green in front of him to run. A couple of times it looked like they just turned to run before they had secured the ball. And you could start to tell that Elijah Curtis was getting frustrated with his receivers and the drops tonight from his body language, probably mid to late third quarter, and especially in that fourth quarter, because there were a couple of really costly drops that really stalled Canton-McKinley drives tonight, where they could have gone down and scored and either taken the lead or at least come close to tying the football game up. And every time they had a chance, they just kind of self-inflicted and dropped a pass or missed a block here, missed a block there. And between that and the high snaps tonight was an issue for the offense. I counted at least probably 7 high snaps tonight to Curtis where he had to jump to get the snap, and that throws the entire play off. So, yeah, there was a lot of self-inflicted wounds for Canton-McKinley tonight, and I don't think that they're going to be happy when they go back and watch the film.
Hey, Ryan, from one Curtis to another, Elijah Curtis we were just talking about, but Jaron Curtis from Perry, what was your analysis of the running back there? Because for a moment I was hoping he wasn't injured, but maybe he looked like he had some cramps. But what did you think about him tonight?
I know exactly what play you're talking about. I believe that it was just either a cramp or he was just getting tired. They just ran him they ran him crazy tonight. He ran for 237 yards, 177 of that in the second half, 3 touchdowns in the second half, 4 for the game. He was a one-man wrecking crew, and they just couldn't stop him. He was a bowling ball tonight. There was nothing the Canton-McKinley defense could do when they gave the ball to 22.
You know, Ryan, it's kind of interesting. You know what Perry's going to do, and it's really difficult to stop. I mean, it's not like they were running a bunch of different plays. They were just executing them. That's got to get frustrating for a defense as well.
You would think it gets frustrating, and I'll tell you the thing that really surprised me was after seeing Perry play Jackson earlier in the season and then seeing Canton-McKinley play Jackson last week or 2 weeks ago, I thought, well, Canton-McKinley's got a chance to come out here and really shut Perry down because they do a lot of things well that Jackson did well against Perry, and tonight it just didn't happen. Perry was able to find holes and make their blocks, and Canton-McKinley just wasn't able to make stops when they needed it. And I'll tell you guys, I think it was a big key for them. Josh Chandler did play a little bit tonight, but he wasn't 100%, and he wasn't out there for a lot of plays. So I have to wonder how much not having the leader of their defense, especially a linebacker against this wing T offense, hurt Canton-McKinley's defense tonight.
How impressed were you overall with Perry? I was pretty darn impressed, and I thought they might hang close. I'm kind of surprised they beat McKinley, to be honest with you.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I said all week that I thought Canton-McKinley would win the game. I thought Perry might have a chance to keep it close if they didn't turn the ball over. This is a completely different Perry team than I saw a few weeks ago just down the road at Jackson. I'm thoroughly impressed with how well they played tonight, how well they played within themselves. Because like you said, everybody knows what they're going to do. They're going to run the football. Max Baker's not going to drop back and throw 25 passes in a game, even if they're trailing. And that's what happened tonight. They trailed. They said, that's okay, we're Perry. We're playing Perry football. And that's exactly what Coach Wakefield said to them after the game in the huddle. His first words to them were, that's Perry football. We run the football, and we just do what we do. And if they stop us, they stop us. If they don't, then we win the football game. And that's what happened tonight. They just kept running and kept running. And you could tell McKinley's defense was getting tired, especially towards the end, and they didn't have anything left in the tank in that fourth quarter.
Ryan Isley, great stuff. We appreciate it as Perry pulls off what would have to be considered the upset of the week here on Friday Night Huddle on Week 9.
Yeah, and helps themselves in the playoff picture. They're probably going to make the playoffs now in Region 1. So, I mean, it's a huge win for them. Now, McKinley has to go play Massillon. I believe that's a home game for McKinley, but they're fighting for one of those home games in Region 1. So, hey, a lot of ramifications from that, but good for Perry. Like Ryan said, they just came out and did what Perry does. They didn't care what the score was. They didn't care what the situation was, the time. They just did what Perry does, and it got them a win tonight.
Yeah, and congratulations to the Perry Panthers for the win tonight. Now they all are going to share a piece of that Federal League title with Jackson right now, McKinley and Perry with that spot. Now with McKinley, the one thing I took away from Ryan's interview with us was that Josh Chandler right now, and he was limited tonight. So I'm just kind of curious, how much are we going to see him against Massillon? Is he going to be 100% by next week after a leg injury early this season?
Well, we've talked about this game. Mentor defeated Euclid 61-59, and this is what it came down to. Connor McIntosh trying to bring it home with the field goal, and he knocks it through the uprights to win it as time expires. And you see the Cardinals celebrating, and that is a heartbreaking loss for the Euclid Panthers. Euclid's still fine. They'll still be in Division I, Region 1 playoffs, but you see 61-59, a field goal as time expires to win it for the Mentor Cardinals. A lot of exciting games. Let's take a look at the scoreboard. We've already told you Massillon Perry, that 8-point win over McKinley. Avon rolls over Amherst. You saw that game. Hoban, defense dominant. Bedford fell behind. They were trailing 28-8 at one point. They come back and win it. Olmsted Falls, overtime, wins it by a point over Avon Lake. Bay, 3 touchdown runs, win it 28-17. Kirtland beats Cuyahoga Heights by 8. Rocky River, no problem at all. Hudson, a game they really need, wins by 10, which likely locks up a Division II Region 5 playoff berth for the Explorers. Guys, take away from tonight. What? Yeah, always.
I'm still taking notes now.
Dan, we'll start with you.
Region 1. It's going to be 3 rounds of just who knows what's going to happen. Now, obviously, Eds and Ignatius are going to be the favorites in that region.
Yep.
Everybody's going to have that circled whenever those two meet. But there are going to be some matchups, and we saw it tonight with Menor Euclid. We saw it tonight with McKinley Perry. There are going to be matchups in that region that are just must-watch games. And who knows, it could all come to a head with St. Ignatius, St. Ed's in the regional final, but it's going to be a fun path to get there.
All right, here we go. Kirtland and Cuyahoga Heights revenge tour. Got that win there. Hudson and Twinsburg, the defense showed up and Explorers.
Revenge on that one, too.
There we go, too. Lorraine and Bedford, wow, the way that finished up
revenge
there.
On that one, because Lorraine got them last week.
Another
I've
defensive
got a
stop.
for you.
And obviously, I'll probably read a little bit more about that whole Menor and Euclid, how that finished out there. Congratulations, Menor. They're going to pull out the Greater Cleveland Conference title. And McKinley and Massillon Perry, that did not go as I expected tonight.
Yeah.
So.
You know,
I had to.
Heck of a job by Keith Wakefield and those Perry Panthers. You know, they do what they do. You know, they fell behind, and you know, we're kind of going, this could get bad. But they were, anytime they were behind, they were able to find the big run that then set them up to score, running the football, doing what they do, Perry football as they term, and that defense. You hold Canton McKinley to 20 points. Your defense has played pretty well.
Here's what you need to know about Region 1. I'm looking at Joe Attell, and it hasn't completely updated yet. You've got Stowe at 7-1 at the 8th seed. Now, they won tonight. It'll be 8-1. But again, you know, Jackson is so good, and they're going to be one of the lower seeds in that region. Perry, we saw what they can do. They're going to be a lower seed in that region. It's going to be wild.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, obviously the rest of the night's going to kind of play out, see what happens, and then we have the Saturday slate of games coming up, and we're going to just see how that plays out because we're going to have a couple of private schools coming up to the Northeast Ohio area, and they're going to face some of our locals here.
Well,
see how well it goes.
You can see both of those games on Spectrum Sports. St. Ignatius hosting St. Xavier, so that's St. Xavier is 1 in the state.
Rematch.
They're the defending state champs. They beat St. Ignatius. Ignatius, who lost last week, is 6th now. Eds, who's number 2, hosts Moeller, who beat St. Ignatius last week. And both those games are on Spectrum Sports. The St. Ignatius Xavier game kicks off at 3 o'clock. Ryan Kavanaugh and I are calling that one. And the Moeller Eds game kicks off at 4. And that is also going to be available. It should be really interesting. Some Week 10 games that we're looking at, and we got about a minute. We'll blow through them. Is Barberton and Highland, Wadsworth and Hudson. That'll be very interesting. Wadsworth trying to complete the undefeated season. Padua NDCL, Hoban Benedictine in the NCL, and then the big one, St. Ignatius and St. Ed's Saturday. And that'll be very interesting. Could be the prelude to the Division I, Region 1 regional final. It'll be very interesting as the regular season wraps up. The playoff picture will take an even clearer shape. For Nate Klein and Dan Lobby, I'm Dave Bacon. We'll see you again next Friday night here on Friday Night Huddle. Playoffs are only 2 weeks away. You know, next week and then the week after playoffs start. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next Friday night.
The High School Sports Insider is brought to you by Cuyahoga Community College, where futures begin. By the Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. By Spectrum Sports. By Dominion East Ohio. Dominion, it all starts here. And by Classic Teleproductions.
Late October means we've crowned our first state champs of 2017, and the fall sports are in full tournament mode.
A great time to talk high school sports. Thanks for joining this edition of the High School Sports Insider. Along with Bill Castrovince, I'm Dave Bacon.
Over the next half hour, you're going to get your fill of mascot fun. Plus, we have a Panther on the prowl, a bunch of Bulldogs running loose, and the Gilmore girls going for a repeat.
We begin tonight on the gridiron with one of the most underappreciated positions in football, the kicker, the guy who gets a lot of pressure and not nearly enough respect. A good kicker can be the difference between winning and losing, especially close games at the high school level. St. Ignatius has one of the best kickers not only in Ohio but the entire country. Matthew Trickett. As good as Trickett is on the football field, he's even better off it. Matthew's a 4-point student who's very involved in the community. We're proud to salute Matthew Trickett, our Cuyahoga Community College student athlete with a future. Cuyahoga Community College, where futures begin.
He's shown the leg to knock this through. Snap and set are good. The kick
oh my gosh.
On target. And he knocks it through. That's a school record 59-yard field goal.
It's so special to me because big football school here, so obviously a lot of great players have gone through it here. And just to be able to say that I hold school records, definitely, it's special. It's really special.
Matthew Trickett is one of the best kickers in the country. He's already made a 55-yarder in addition to that 59-yard record-setting field goal this season. Trickett is a former soccer player who seems to thrive on the pressure of place kicking in football.
I love it. Like I said, the spotlight, that's something that I live for. These Saturday or Friday night games, it's everything to me. I love to see the ball fly through the air, and it's really working towards perfection. Every kick, I'm trying to make it straight down the center and as high as I can get it. So I really love how you can try and be perfect with it. Soccer is a big team sport, but kicking, I get my own spotlight every 20-some plays. So it's something I really love to do.
Matthew is also putting his talents to use to help out in the community. He's continuing the Kick It for Cancer fundraiser at St. Ignatius, where he raises money for pediatric cancer research with every kick he makes.
It started with Matt Colella here in 2014, and he really kicked things off, did a great job. It caught on locally, spread throughout the nation, and we just kept it going as a tradition. And it's really something great that we can do to give back to the community. You pledge a certain amount of money for each point that the specialists score. So say I make a field goal, that's 3 points. Say you pledge $1 per point, $3 go to pediatric cancer.
When asked about his success, Trickett was quick to praise those he works with to make his kicking seem routine.
I have a strong relationship with my holder, and we've been working on it since the summer, just getting those holds down, getting the snaps back. So we've really worked as a unit to perfect everything that we can, so it makes my job a lot easier. The mental aspect is you just got to clear your head. I started looking at the field goal just to see where we're at, what kind of angle I have to take, and then from there, I'm just looking at the holder. As soon as he brings his hand up to try and catch the ball, that's my starting point to go. And then from there, I just try and close everything out, just focus on the kick.
Another aspect to his game that is huge is kickoffs. Trickett usually puts the ball where it can't be returned.
They're really important. We always expect that they're going in the end zone, but if not, the special teams units down there were making tackles. So I try and do the best that I can to just hit it in the end zone every time so nobody has to worry about it.
Matthew is a special kid, and so is our next featured athlete, who also shines on special teams. When it comes to punt returners, Arquan Bush is one of the best around. But the Euclid senior is also a star on offense and defense, and it's all because of his mom. Let's go to my alma mater and honor Arquan Bush as this week's Spectrum Sports Game Breaker. As a two-sport athlete, Arquan Bush is always running. But the Euclid senior prefers the slower pace of football to track.
It's just a lot, and then you get tired in track. Like football is like, I can take a break every once in a while, but track, you take a break too, but it's just running the whole time. Football is like, it's slowed down a little bit. Track is just straight running.
Even though Bush is a state qualifier in track, football is his first love. And it's all because of his mother, Diana Barker.
Like, I've been playing since I was 5. And my mom got me into it for real, because like, I really didn't want to play. But then my mom made me play, and then I just loved it ever since.
His track speed has made him a dangerous player in all 3 phases of the game. Arquan is a big play wide receiver, but he's being recruited at cornerback and as a punt returner. And Bush is becoming more coachable too.
He's listening now, and he always wanted to be great, but he kind of wanted to do it almost on his own. He would get angry if things didn't go right way, and then he wasn't listening as much. Now he's listening, he's accepting the coaching.
College offers from schools like Michigan State, Kentucky, Purdue, and Rutgers rolled in last year, but over the summer, Arquan gave a verbal commitment to Cincinnati. And with the big weight off his shoulders, Bush became a leader on and off the field.
As we got the last 3 weeks of our summer workouts, we do what's called our core work and all that stuff. He ran the whole thing. This day and age, too many kids want to be liked more than respected. He's starting to get the message, hey, it's up to me to to be an extension of the coach.
Just take it like any other challenge. I try to help them out, and I try to still do me at the same time. But if they need my help, I help them out if they need it.
Arquan Bush is proud to be a Euclid Panther, but more importantly, he wants to make his mom proud.
I mean, it's my mother. I love her. She's the only one in my life, but I have a stepdad too. I got my grandparents and all that. But my mom, she's always been behind me in everything I do.
Arquan Bush runs the 100, the 200, the 4x1, and the 4x2. You know those Euclid Panthers are always fast, except for this Euclid Panther.
We're just getting things rolling on this week's show. Still ahead, some Lancers on the pitch, and a group of Bulldogs who still have their bite. The High School Sports Insider will be right back.
I've got a 4-year degree. I wasn't really able to find a job despite putting out over 100 applications, so I decided to go back to school. Tri-C really did change my life. After getting my degree from Tri-C, I'm working in the IT field. I work at a job I love. Life is good, thanks to Tri-C. My name is Josh Gadka, and I received my IT degree from Tri-C.
There is a place where dreams arise. Stars are born. And greatness is made. What you live for lives here. Spectrum Sports.
The High School Sports Insider rolls along. Thanks for riding shotgun with us. Stowe graduated one of the most successful football classes in their history a year ago. The core group that won 4 playoff games in Division I the last 2 years graduated. But it appears Stowe has reached the elite program status in football. They don't rebuild, they reload. The Bulldogs, with a number of new players and a little different style, have kept one thing consistent. They just keep winning. Here's an all-access look at Stowe Bulldogs football.
Graduation hit the Stowe Bulldogs hard, but these dogs are used to winning. New players have stepped up. The results? Stowe is back on track and right in the middle of the Division I Region I playoff mix with a team that reflects their head coach.
Hard hat and lunch bucket. That's what I tell them. I mean, like I said, we go through our ups and downs. I think that we rally together well as a team, which is important. But when it comes time to being physical and doing the things that we need to do, our kids just absolutely thrive on that and love it.
We communicate, like I said before. We think alike, that's another thing, and we just get out there and we play.
Stowe is winning with a different style this year. Gone is the high-flying passing attack. In is a very physical ground and pound game that's averaging almost 275 yards rushing per contest, and a very physical offensive line.
A lot of people that see them from the outside in see them as a first-year starting offensive line, but in reality, these guys have been playing together for a long time, and I think they've just been waiting for their chance, their opportunity. They've been doing a great job the whole time through our system in Stowe and up through the high school ranks, and they really like each other. They really do. I coach them, and so I get to spend a lot of time with them, and they've really become a tight group. They're a fun group to be around.
I'm just going after what my coach says. He puts me in position to make plays, and I just do what I'm told. So if I have to run, I'll run. If I have to throw, I'll make a play.
He brings a complete different dynamic to what we do offensively, and as an extra guy in the backfield now, people have to worry about him. They have to account for him. So, in the years past when we had drop-back quarterbacks like Kyle Van Treese, he was a great quarterback for us, but he didn't add that extra element that Corian does. So, I think it puts a lot of pressure on defenses to prepare for us.
So if someone's in my face, I gotta take off. It's a scary thing when a 300-pound lineman coming at you. So I actually try to roll out and get my receivers open.
Rice combines with fellow senior Terrian Ray to give the Bulldogs a 1-2 running punch that's tough to stop. Both realize it's a team thing that enables them to be successful.
It's very fun, It's like a big family, and it's fun being part of a big family with my age group, and I just love all of them.
The state soccer tournament is now underway. Here's an odd fact. On the girls' side, there's no defending champ in Division III. Gilmore won the title last year, but the Lancers were moved up to Division II in the offseason. But it doesn't matter where they're playing, the goal is the same. Here's the Gilmore girls soccer team, this week's Team of the Week. Gilmore has had a girls soccer team since 1991, and the Lancers had never won a state championship until last year. With 1 minute left in double overtime, sophomore Annie Green fired off a shot at the keeper that junior Alyssa Barron tapped in to win the Division III state title. It was a dramatic finish, but 11 months later, the highlight is losing its luster.
It's just like another goal to me. Like, obviously it meant a lot to the team, and it does mean a lot to me, but it's something that I always shy away from talking about. My mom talks about it a lot more than I do, actually. She likes to brag for me.
Still, you don't always get a chance to make school history.
A lot of our classmates and stuff like that were there to support us, and all of our families were there, and being able to come back to school and, unveil the banner and everything like that, it was huge, and you could tell everyone was so proud of us.
5 seniors graduated off that team, but a lot of underclassmen played big roles. Now, those girls are working on a second state title.
It was just a great year, but we also have to make sure that we stay, grounded and keep working this year so that we can do it again, but know that this is a new year. We have to keep working hard. It's not just going to happen again.
The road is a little rougher. The Lancers were moved up to Division II, and the schedule was beefed up.
I think the teams that we've added are all high quality teams that have won state titles before, that have won districts, have been part of regionals levels, who have big time players on their roster.
I think we'll be just as competitive in Division II as we were in Division III. Again, it's going to come down to just working hard and working with one another.
The Gilmore girls even have fun after practice once in a while, but they're always working hard in the classroom. The 36 girls have a combined 3.7 GPA.
This game, you got to be mentally smart. You got to be physically fit, but mentally you've got to be on top of your game as well. And these girls, I think it's easy for them to translate from the classroom onto the field.
If you missed some of today's show or want to see past episodes, they're online and free. What a deal, I know. Head to citybeat-tv.com. That's citybeat-tv.com.
Coming up next, it's Mascot Mania as we celebrate the School of the Year. Plus, we'll go from Lake Catholic to Happy Valley for the Insider Classic. Stay tuned.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program has been recognizing students and teachers who shine both in and out of the classroom since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com and click on Supporting Education. Students in kindergarten through 12th grade are eligible to be academic all-stars. K through 12 teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible to be honored as the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The High School Sports Insider continues with a stop on the shores of Lake Erie for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program normally celebrates a high school for this honor, but this time it's a middle school getting some recognition. And it's all because of a little girl who had a dream. Let's go to Our Lady of the Lake in Euclid, the school of the year. Seven-year-old Alea McMillan had a dream one night. She was helping other kids who are less fortunate.
I had gave them one of my toys in my dream. So when I gave them my toys, I had brought more from home and kept on giving them to them. So when I woke up that day, I had thought maybe I should do it in real life at school and maybe people will want to do it.
Alea wanted to organize a toy drive, and her school, Our Lady of the Lake in Euclid, pitched in, collecting over 1,000 toys for a local shelter this past spring.
She is always trying to think of others, trying to do big things like this. And that's why I felt I couldn't tell her no, like we had to do this because this is going to be what she does.
Doesn't matter how young you are, how little you are, do your best, believe in yourself, and great things can happen.
Because of Alea, everyone got the chance to party when Our Lady of the Lake was named the Ohio Lottery Partners in Education School of the Year.
I think it sets a great example. You know, kids see what other people are doing, they see the fruits of their labor, and they realize that, hey, you work a little hard and you know, really put an effort into something and you can do just about anything.
You might even have a bunch of mascots invade your school. 13 furry friends from across the state joined the party, making this year's celebration the loudest on record. Our Lady of the Lake also received a $500 gift card from Staples, sports merchandise from several different Ohio teams for future raffles, and one memorable day thanks to the Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program and one little dreamer.
I actually felt really excited and I was really happy that people wanted to do the idea, and it made me excited because we had got school every year and everybody that was used to be mean to me are now nice to me.
There is a School of the Year every year, but the Ohio Lottery is also looking for students who shine in the classroom every day. If you know one, send in a nomination. Just go to ohiolottery.com. At the top of the page, look for the Supporting Education tab, and that's where you'll find all the info.
Each week on the show, we look back at a student athlete we featured who's gone on to success at the college, professional, sometimes even international levels. Abby Dietering has been the main cog in Penn State's volleyball machine this season. Dietering has helped the Nittany Lions earn the #1 ranking in all of college volleyball. Abby started out at the University of Florida, but we remember her at Lake Catholic, where she was Ohio Volleyball's Gatorade Player of the Year as a senior. Today, Abby Dietering from Lake Catholic becomes a classic.
A volleyball team is only as good as its setter. She is a quarterback on the court, and Lake Catholic has one of the best in the country with Abby Dietering.
You have to run the whole show, you know what I mean? And she just but she has that personality to do that. You know, a lot of kids don't have that personality. She's not quiet. She's very into the game. She hates to lose. We call her Michael Jordan.
The biggest thing I've always listened to is dream big, take risks. That's the thing that I always go by, because if you don't take risks, you'll never accomplish your dream. So being a setter, you have to take risks at the net.
Dietering has the physical tools too. She is 6'1" and left-handed, a great combination to have at the net.
Not only do you have to worry about your hitters, but you also have to worry about me coming and attacking at the ball, because I'm left-handed, so I can swing at the ball compared to right-handed setters. So it does make it a harder game.
The Cougars already had a setter when Dietering joined the team as a freshman, but Severino had to get her on the court, and she ended up leading the team with 11 kills in the 2010 state championship game, leading Lake Catholic to its first state title.
We just put her on the right side. She's left-handed, and she just ended up being one of our best hitters. Actually, she actually was the MVP of the state tournament, state championship game. So yeah, she just fit right in. It was just a great fit.
Her days as a high school player are numbered. Abby has already given a verbal commitment to the University of Florida, and she has a great chance to start right away. And I'm talking January. Dietering is set to graduate from Lake Catholic in December and then join the Gators. How so? She's a 3.6 student.
This might sound weird, but I'm a really competitive person, and that also comes with grades. Like, I never want to get a bad grade. Like, that is my biggest thing, and I will get so mad if I ever do.
When you talk about words like intrinsic motivation and inner drive, you normally reserve those for sports, but I would say that Abby displayed those characteristics in the classroom as well.
On the court, she is leaving Lake Catholic in good hands after coaching and teaching younger players like Kaylee. And if you're going to follow in somebody's footsteps, Abby Dietering is about as good as it gets.
I learned a lot, and to keep my thumbs back, get my hands on the ball and the footwork. And I learned a lot of things. She gives a lot of details when she's coaching, and she really helps me get through.
It's really exciting working with her, and she's a great setter, so I'm excited for the future. She's my little mini-me.
We want you to get more involved in the show, and you can through social media. Follow us on Twitter. We're at HS Sports Insider and at Dave Bacon Sports. Tweet us your story ideas or your pictures showing your school spirit. We'll use them in a future show. Still plugging away on Facebook as well. Head to our page and like us. We're at High School Sports Insider.
But stick around, the tweets of the week are coming up next.
The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program has been recognizing students and teachers who shine both in and out of the classroom since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com and click on Supporting Education. Students in kindergarten through 12th grade are eligible to be academic all-stars. K through 12 teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible to be honored as the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education, where stars shine.
There is a place where dreams arise, stars are born, and greatness is made. What you live for lives here. Spectrum Sports.
The High School Sports Insider rolls along. Thanks for staying with us. We're running out of time on this week's show, but we always have time to find out what's on your mind. A few rules: you have to use 140 characters or less. Better yet, just send a picture. Time for the tweets of the week. Wadsworth head wrestling coach John Gramuglia with a well-earned honor. He was inducted into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. A huge shout out to the Independence girls golf team. They won the Division II state title by 11 strokes. And Cleveland Heights' Tariq Smith modeling his Under Armour All-American Bowl jersey. Smith is one of the country's top recruits, and he plans to announce his college choice at the All-American Bowl. Keep those tweets coming. We want your story ideas or your pictures showing your school spirit. Tweet those to us. We're at HS Sports Insider and at Dave Bacon Sports. Use hashtag HSSI Ohio. Again, that's at HS Sports Insider or at Dave Bacon Sports. Use hashtag HSSI Ohio. We'll use a few of them on upcoming shows as the tweets of the week. Now we are all out of time on this week's show. Half hour goes by so fast. Thanks for making the time in your busy schedule to join us. We expect to see you back here next week, same time, same place, when again, we'll have some of the best high school sports stories from all across Ohio.
As always, thanks for supporting high school athletics. Have a great night.
I decided to go to Tri-C because it was easy to commute to. I was able to start Kent State as a junior. All my credits from Tri-C transferred to Kent State. I will be able to earn my bachelor's degree in 4 years. I saved a lot of money starting at Tri-C. My name is Stephanie Bain, and I earned my first degree at Cuyahoga Community College.
I dare you. I dare you to change the world. Yeah, you. Getting that college education.
I dare you to be somebody important.
Like be a teacher. Or a reality TV star. I dare you to stand up here. To call the shots.
To be a role model.
An inspiration. An innovator.
To be a teacher.
Be my teacher.
Think you can change my life?
Make me excited about science like you.
Have a career that really means something?
Then do it.
I dare you. I dare you.